What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
1WS. Chapter 1. Advertise here. Chapter 1 starts a Seireitei. The Hyōan calendar is 1520. Luffy goes to sea with the dream of becoming the One Piece. Now he has found a lot of friends. At the moment he is in the sea restaurant. Here Zoro meets the man he wants to challenge and defeat the most in his life. He is known as the world's #1 swordsman and has a pair of sharp eagle eyes, Mahawk. And our protagonist finally opened his eyes at this moment. He was originally an ordinary boy among the blue stars. He just revisited Shinigami last night. Now when he opened his eyes, there was a trace of confusion in those handsome eyes. Here it is. He discovered that the world he was in was Seireitei, this majestic and magnificent building, now in front of his eyes. This building is unique, and the aura that it reveals shocked the young man, as if he couldn't help but suffocate his breath. It can't be wrong. This is Seireitei. Seireitei is the political and military headquarters of the Soul Society. There are departments such as the Underground Conference Hall and the buildings of the Gotei 13th Squadron in the key areas of the interior. It is also the place where all Shinigami lives. The noble residences in Shinigami have also been built here for generations. The walls around Seireitei are built with killer stones that can block spiritual power. The killer stones release waves of decomposing spiritual power. Its area is 133,000 squares of spiritual power, and its radius is spiritual power. In Seireitei, the environment is beautiful, with large meadows and slanderous mountains. What makes him depressed and curious is that there is no Shinigami here. Outside of Seireitei, Ryūjin does not seem to appear. The buildings here are all closed. Why is this again? While he was pondering this, ding, the dead world system, begin to bind. Close black lens bracket. If you have any questions, please ask. Close black lens bracket. The mechanical and icy voice that came in his mind called Chen Tian to recover completely. Read more at mtlarchive.com. As someone who has read a lot of Feilu's novels, he certainly understands what is happening now. He crossed. Also got a cheat. Am I in the Shinigami world now? This is the first question he asked. No, you are in the world of pirates, but you have obtained the Dead Realm system, and the start is bound to give gifts. This is this Seireitei and some basic abilities. You are now in the Dead Realm space. Close black lens bracket. Start a Seireitei. This setting is pretty good. However, he looked around, and at the same time calmed down to listen. There seemed to be no other sound except for the special spiritual wind in Seireitei. It seems that I am the only one here. Chen Tian asked directly. Yes, this building in the dead world needs to be unlocked step by yourself. Remind you, you can check your own system panel to see what basic English you have now. Close black lens bracket. After the system answered, an illusory panel appeared in front of Chen Tian, which only he could see. Open black lens bracket host. Chen Tian close black lens bracket. Own ability. Crossing the gate, white hits, Kido, Shunpo, Kendo. Open black lens bracket positive subordinates. None close black lens bracket. Negative subordinates. None. Unlocked buildings. Seireitei which buildings none. Detection. You still have a big gift package, which has not been opened. Close black lens bracket. Another big gift package. Chen Tian really didn't know what to do at the beginning. Immediately said. Open. Pass. Ding. Congratulations on opening the spree. Ding. Congratulations on getting Zanpakuto Hyōrinmaru. Hearing this, Chen Tian's eyes suddenly lit up. Hyōrinmaru, known as the strongest Zanpakuto in the Soul Society ice system, has a wide range of attacks and can even manipulate climate changes. If you're not polite, it's not under Aokiji's frozen fruit in Pirate World. At this moment, the voice of the system resounded again. Ding, because you received Zanpakuto from Hitsugaya Tōshirō, you now have the subordinate Gotei 13th Division. Chen Tian looked and found that in Seireitei, some buildings were unlocked and could be used. That was the team house of Gotei 13, but the team house of the 10th Division was unlocked. It can be said that the team houses of Gotei 13 are different. The team house of the 10th Division has a European-style room inside. At the same time, the Deputy Captain Matsumoto Rangaku, as well as the other members of the 10th Division, are now walking out of the 10th Division's house one by one. Why not Hitsugaya Tōshirō? Because I received Zanpakuto from the captain of the Jufin, so the members of the Jufin were unlocked, and the building of the Jufin team house was unlocked. Chen Tian can understand this. But Hitsugaya Tōshirō, where is it? Open black lens bracket Hitsugaya Tōshirō, it will not appear until the host has used Hyōrinmaru's power to 100%. At that time, you will unlock another Zanpakuto. Chen Tian nodded. Then is there a way to unlock all the buildings and all the squads and the captains of the squads at once? This is what Chen Tian cares most about. It depends on when you get the Zanpakuto as Ryūjin Jakka. At present, if you draw Hyōrinmaru, it is an opportunity. When you play Hyōrinmaru to 100%, you will get another hand of Zanpakuto. The system does not know, this is a random event. Chen Tian nodded. But the most important thing is, how to make Zanpakuto play 100% faster. Scary point. The voice of the system resounded coldly in Chen Tian's ears. This is the dead world system. The abilities you unlock more are mostly in the style of Soul Society, Seireitei, Rukongai, etc. It is impossible to see heaven or the like. So you need to fight to make people shocked, so you will get more shock points. Chen Tian nodded. Fighting. At this moment, Matsumoto Rangaku has brought his teammates to Chen Tian. For them, Chen Tian is their king. A great existence above the captain. With long wavy hair and a proud figure that few women can match, she is dressed in a death tyrant outfit, while wearing a pink shawl, and the side of the panty pants is tied into a bow. At this moment, she, who was full of fragrance, came to Chen Tian's face. Wang, the Jufan team is here, please give orders. Chapter 2. Advertise here. Chapter 2. The door to another world that suddenly appeared. After smelling the special fragrance in the space because of the arrival of Matsumoto Rangaku, Chen Tian gently nodded and glanced at the woman. Front subordinate. Matsumoto Rangaku. Zanpakuto. Hinaka. He looked at the other members of the decennial team behind Matsumoto Rangaku, each of them already had their own Zanpakuto. Of course, they don't know Bankai yet. But Shikai's ability is definitely there. In a squad, there are captains, deputy captains, 3 seats, 4 seats. After reading their information carefully, Chen Tian found that their strength was actually pretty good. To be honest, with this 10th division, he dared to rush into Impel Down. Impel Down, the world's #1 prison, is located in the Calm Belt in the first half of the Grand Line. Security is extremely tight. The prison is full of felons. It is very eerie and terrifying. There are various monster jailers and videophone worms to monitor. There are a large number of large sea kings on the seabed outside the prison, which gives Impel Down the name of Copper Wall and Iron Wall. There are a total of 6 floors. Warden Magellan, although he is not admiral, some pirate fans once said that he has the strength of admiral, or is close to admiral. Almost few people can escape from Magellan's hands, and Golden Lion paid the price back then. As for Luffy's escape from prison, this is completely the protagonist's halo. But Chen Tian asked himself, relying on Hyōrinmaru, plus the 10th division, if he wants to break into Impel Down and leave again, he can still do it. Recovered. Chen Tian knew that as the Lord of the Dead World and the King of Seireitei, he should also make a decision and issue his first order. From now on, let the sea know the existence of our Seireitei. Let the name of Shinigami shake this sea. Let the Jufan team shake their eyes. Let Zanpakuto shock the world. Make the sea a little more exciting. At this moment, Pirate World. Read more at mtlarchive.com. East China Sea. This is a sea restaurant. At this moment, everyone was shocked by the man with eagle eyes who looked at the gentleman. One move. Click, the leader of the Click pirate group, known as the strongest pirate group in the East China Sea, was killed by Hawkeye in this way. For the people around, Click's strength may not be the strongest in the East China Sea, but it is definitely one of the best in the East China Sea. In the waters of the East China Sea, people who dare to say that they are capable of defeating Click are afraid of talent. Just a few, right? But now Click was in front of them, defeated by this man with eagle eyes and a gentleman's taste. This is called the people present, all a little surprised. Is this the strength of the strong coming from New World? Too strong. Strong people don't know what to say. New World, just come to anyone, what's the strength? This person defeated Click in one fell swoop. It's terrible. Who is this man with the sharp eyes of a goshawk? On the protruding deck of the restaurant on the sea, let alone the marine who came to eat here, the pirates, even some chefs are now screaming in surprise. He is Hawkeye Mahawk, one of the well-known 7 warlords of the sea. I didn't expect this man to appear here. It's surprising. Someone may see that Hawkeye comes from New World, but in the East Sea. There are very few people who really see the identity of Hawkeye, but red-footed Jefu is one of them. In New World, the name Mahawk Hawkeye is too loud, even if it is not as good as 4 emperors, but it will not be too far behind. He is known as the world's largest swordsman. Those who practice swordsmanship will chase after the target they want to defeat. Even if there is no devil fruit, just relying on swordsmanship, Hawkeye is unimpeded in New World. What? He is 7 warlords of the sea. Oh my god, 7 warlords of the sea. 7 warlords of the sea, how come here? 7 warlords of the sea, those are the 7 great pirates recognized by the world government. They have catastrophic destructive power, and their strength is already strong enough to rival the country. For a time, the sound of exclamation kept ringing. Suddenly, someone noticed something, his eyes widened, and his fingers suddenly pointed in one direction. Look, what is that? In the space, a door suddenly appeared. All of a sudden, not only he noticed, others also noticed this door. Zoro originally wanted to go out and fight Hawkeye, but now he can't help but be attracted by a door that suddenly appeared in the space. Under this door, there are blue, surging waves of ripples. It's not land at all. Why is there a door suddenly standing there? Right now, the door opened slowly. When they saw the scenery on the other side of the door, all the people present swallowed with difficulty. Because they found that the other side of the door is another place, they saw the majestic building. At this moment, even Hawkeye Mahawk's pupils couldn't help but widen. He met Marine Headquarters Marin Vando. But in terms of the thoroughness of the momentum and the grandeur of the building, Hawkeye Mahawk discovered that Marine Headquarters, Malin Vander, is not comparable to the peculiar building behind that door. Where is the place over that door? Nami couldn't help but murmured. At this moment, Luffy waited and noticed something. Someone has come out. Chapter 3. Advertise here. Chapter 3 Debut of Gotei 13. What is on the other side of the door? From the side of the door, there was a very uncomfortable feeling. The breath coming from there, called Luffy, Zoro and other sensitive people, frowned. Even the eagle-eyed Mihawk, the sharp eyes at this moment, are no longer relaxed. At last, someone came out from the side of the door. Ding, the world begins to connect. Reiatsu, the power of the One Piece world, etc., begin to assimilate. Power interoperability, start using. Chen Tian is about to come out. At this moment, he is also wearing a death tyrant. Some of him who temporarily own Hyōrinmaru or Reiatsu of Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Right now, boom, the power came out. Some people have yet to see who they are and what peculiarities they have, and they haven't seen anything clearly yet. Under this Reiatsu power, some people who stood in front but were weak, even before they could even make a scream, were suppressed by Reiatsu. The soul is broken. One by one fell down. This scene happened suddenly, and even Hawkeye did not react. Next moment, Reiatsu swept the entire space. Om. The invisible but real Reiatsu, like a mountain of incomparable weight, was pressed on them. Both Luffy and Zoro began to grit their teeth. They felt that their backs seemed to be tied to this mountain, making their bodies heavy and breathing difficulties. How so? I do not know either. Luffy clenched his teeth to support. The same goes for Zoro, his teeth clenched together. Nami was already lying on the ground and couldn't get up. Hawkeye was also dignified at this time. He had a rare power in this world, but he also sensed the hardness and heaviness of his body. What kind of power is this? Hawkeye Mihawk is the world's #1 swordsman and well informed. He can feel it. This is not the power of devil fruit. This weight, this terrible heaviness, comes from my soul. But Hawkeye Mihawk is not afraid. As the world's #1 swordsman, he has a fighting spirit and excitement. Read more at mtlarchive.com. He also saw it. Also see clearly. From that door, a group of people walked out. Their clothes are unique, black and white, and easy to identify. And standing at the forefront was a young boy, the white haori fluttering in the wind, the man with the sword hanging from his waist, now his mouth was smiling. Chen Tian is also looking at Eagle Eye. Clatter. He stepped out of his own footsteps. Shunpo. Fast. When everyone reacted, he was already standing behind Hawkeye. Hawkeye Mihawk. Hey, this opponent belongs to me. Zoro has always wanted to challenge Hawkeye. Seeing that he was preempted by the mysterious man at this moment, Zoro immediately stepped forward. What the king of Seireitei is going to do, how can you stop it? Matsumoto Rangaku snorted. The third seat of the juvenile team went straight up, pulled out his own Zanpakuto, and stopped Zoro. Jufin. The team flower is a narcissus. Flower language is mystery and self. Seireitei, Gotei 13, 3 seats in the 10th division, let's see how much you have. At this moment, everyone heard the voice of the 10th division's third seat. Adding to the words of Matsumoto Rangaku just now, everyone present frowned. Seireitei, Gotei 13, the 10th team, what exactly is this? Even Mihawk, Hawkeye, is now paying attention to these words and words. He asked himself as well informed, right? The Great Sea, the forces that exist, the places where they exist, even if he hasn't seen them before, he should have heard of them. But this Seireitei, this Gotei 13 or something, is really something that has never been asked before. Of course, Hawkeye can't admit that this is a small place, a small force. At this moment, the Eagle Eye turned around and stared at Chen Tian. The Eagle Eye's brows were frowned. How could the other party's aura of destroying the world be a small person on the sea? Sea restaurant. There are some marines, and some pirates, even the hidden personnel of the Revolutionary Army. Seireitei, this news must be told to Smoker. Lieutenant Marine said so secretly in his heart. It's not just him. Gotei 13. Is this a pirate group? What kind of strength do they have? Quote. Everyone is guessing. Ding, congratulations on getting the Hawkeye Mihawk 100 horror point. Ding, congratulations on getting 1000 Luffy points. Ding, congratulations on getting Zoro 10,000 points of shock. Open black lens bracket. Ding, close black lens bracket. Because of the frightening point, Zanpakuto Hyōrinmaru's power awakens 30%. Ding, Zanpakuto Kenshikai. Chen Tian was very satisfied with the reactions of others present. Shocked. Shock the soul. But Gotei 13, the shock to the world, has just begun. Go away for me. Zoro gritted his teeth, and what was in front of him was the third place of the Gotei 13th division, blocking his way and making him unhappy. 3 swords style, ghost cut. Now Zoro is holding a knife in his left and right hands, and a knife in his mouth at the same time. There is an extraordinary aura, and it is born. Hawkeye Mihawk couldn't help but let out an, oh, and then looked at Chen Tian. This person is not easy. Are you sure of your subordinate, can you? Chapter 4. Advertise here. Chapter 4 Sit in the frosty sky, Hyōrinmaru. Zoro's 3-sword style was shown in front of Hawkeye. Hawkeye looked at this scene and nodded, affirming Zoro's 3 swords. But Hawkeye found that the person across from him seemed to be very confident in his subordinates. Roar. Iron Fish. When Zoro's 3 swords were about to be torn on the opponent's body, suddenly, the knife in the opponent's hand changed. Kang. It abruptly blocked Zoro's three-sword flow. Zoro's eyes widened. At the same time, the opponent's knife seems to be alive. Before Zoro could react, he hit Zoro. Eat devil fruit's knife. The people present now thought of this unanimously. Hyōrinmaru couldn't help thinking like this. Apart from this, he couldn't think of any other reason why the other party's knife suddenly changed its appearance. Not surprised, it's time for me to take down your throne as the world's largest swordsman. Chen Tian's voice sounded at this moment. Use eagle eyes as a whetstone. Let Hyōrinmaru's power be released 100%. And his words shocked everyone present. Is he going to defeat Eagle Eye, the world's #1 swordsman? Everyone present could not believe what they heard. This organization that has never appeared before, now wants to seize the position of the world's largest swordsman. Such a battle appeared in the East China Sea. The people in the restaurant on the sea looked at each other. Will they have the honor to witness this battle today? This moment, in the space, the atmosphere was suddenly tense. Looking at the two people who were looking at each other, the eyes of everyone present were all looking up, and they all wanted to know what kind of power this Seireitei had never seen before, and whether it can defeat the world's largest one. Janao. Sanji couldn't help but whispered towards the red-footed Jefu, old man, who do you think is stronger? The world's largest swordsman, the king of Seireitei. These two names sounded quite bluffing. Read more at mtlarchive.com. To be honest, I am more optimistic about Hawkeye. Red-footed Zephyr said what he was thinking. Anyway, Hyōrinmaru, who are already famous in the sea. Some people even think that among 7 warlords of the sea, the strongest existence is Hawkeye. Some people say that Hawkeye, is no longer under Marine Admiral and 4 emperors. One of the few people standing at the pinnacle of the power of the sea. Red-footed Jefu also knows one thing, there are actually quite a few swordsmen on the sea. All of them are very powerful and have quite bluffing titles. But when they challenged Hyōrinmaru, they all failed. The title of the world's largest swordsman has never been taken from Hawkeye. From this point, it is enough to see the strength of the Hyōrinmaru. As for the Lord of Seireitei, he has never had such a name in the sea. I don't know if he is going to shake the entire sea, or just like the swordsmen who have been defeated by the Eagle Eye sword, after all, nothing extraordinary. Hyōrinmaru did not despise Chen Tian, he stretched out his hand and directly took off the black sword knight on his back. The faint green sword aura wrapped around the black sword knight. Everyone who saw this scene felt that this black knife was immediately filled with tyrannical strength. In this sea, black knives are definitely one of the few. Slightly silent, Hawkeye didn't have those dazzling skills, he directly raised the black sword knight in his hand. Next moment, he hacked directly towards Chen Tian. This is Hawkeye, there are no excessive moves. He came straight and went straight. As the world's largest swordsman, he has already reduced the complexity to simplicity. Then, in the eyes of everyone, this sword finally fell. Suddenly, the world changed color. This is Hawkeye's slash. Watching this scene, many people stared their eyes wide. Even if they weren't facing the slash, they couldn't help but trembled in their hearts. This was the world's #1 slash. It seems to have the power to cut everything, making people fearful. The people in this world are very nice. Matsumoto Rangaku could not help but murmur after learning about the power of Hawkeye, but the king is stronger. The other members of the 10th division nod their heads. Hawkeye's slash. It is definitely the one that can hurt Kaido. Black Knife Knight. It's a thorough black knife. This slash carried an all-encompassing terrifying power. Luffy, red-footed Zefu, etc. immediately stared at Chen Tian, wondering how this mysterious character could resist such a terrible slash. In their gaze, Chen Tian finally spoke. Sit in the frosty sky, Hyōrinmaru. Luffy and others frowned. For a while, I didn't understand what Chen Tian was doing. But they didn't have time to think about it, because they suddenly trembled, and somehow there was a terrifying chill in the space. In the space, there is even a cold wind blowing. The sun was shining brightly just now, and the sky was dark at the moment. Everyone was trembling, and felt the air they breathed like ice in their bodies. What happened? Why is it so cold suddenly? The snow is not so cold, is it? Chapter 6. Advertise here. Chapter 5 Daiguren Hyōrinmaru. All around, it suddenly became cold. The sea gradually began to freeze. Luffy and others shivered. The climate changes suddenly, which is surprising enough. But the shocking thing is not just that. But looking at him, the horrible slash of the eagle eye could have cut everything, but it was blocked by a huge ice wall. What kind of ability is this? Devil fruit. This master of Seireitei must have eaten devil fruit. Yes, it must be devil fruit's ability. Some people guessed at the restaurant on the sea. Captain Feinbooty in Marine even yelled, this is probably the same as the fruit ability of Marine Admiral Aokiji. Is it the superior fruit ability? Only red-footed Jefu felt that things were not so simple. It was just at the beginning that there was such a chill, and even changed the climate. It is not so much the fruit of the upper and lower levels, it is more of the frozen fruit. There can't be two identical fruits in the sea. What is going on? Now Redfoot Jefu said that he really couldn't figure it out anyway. Ding, congratulations on getting 1000 Finbuddy's horror points. Ding, congratulations on getting 100 horror points for Redfoot Jefu. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Congratulations, Zanpakuto is awakened by 50% and can display the power of Bankai. Close black lens bracket. It's become interesting. Facing Chen Tian, who seemed to have the same power as Aokiji in front of him, Hawkeye Mahawk's fighting spirit became stronger and stronger, and then, the green sword aura suddenly skyrocketed. It wasn't just a slash with all my strength. Right now. Hei Dao Yi is in hand and continues to move towards Chen Tian. Fast. Too fast. Yoruichi, the eagle-eyed black knife, came to Chen Tian's front. This time the slash was still above it. Everyone looked at it, and the dark clouds in the sky seemed to be torn apart. That dark green slash, higher than the waves, split everything, and went to Chen Tian. The green slash seems to be boundless and sharp, and wants to chew everything. This is the real slash of Hawkeye. It looks like Hawkeye is going to win. Red-footed Jefu looked at this scene and couldn't help but speak. In the restaurant on the sea, some women couldn't bear to see the next scene and closed their eyes. Before the green slash, an ice dragon appeared, galloping at extreme speed, opened its mouth wide, and bit the slash. Click, click, click. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Under the power of slashing, the ice on the ice dragon is starting to break away piece by piece. But that slash also gradually faded. The confidence in the eagle eyes became stiff. The ice dragon and the slash disappeared at the same time, and Hawkeye's brows frowned. He discovered one thing. Your knife, have you eaten devil fruit? Hawkeye's tone was not as plain as usual. What exactly is this devil fruit? The freezing ability is the same as Kuzan's frozen fruit. Wrong. This is Zanpakuto. Zanpakuto. When these three words came out of Chen Tian's mouth, Hawkeye's pupils shrank sharply. All the people present frowned. Zanpakuto, what kind of knife is it? Next, let you understand the power of Hyōrinmaru. Chen Tian moved. The sea began to freeze. Chen Tian quickly approached Hawkeye. This is Shunpo. The Zanpakuto Hyōrinmaru in Chen Tian's hand will become a frozen area in the direction the blade passes. Hawkeye said nothing. He knew he had encountered an opponent. Hei Dao Yi is in hand, advancing without retreating. The same cut, and then he fought it up. Kang, Kang, Kang. You come and go for a while. Two figures shuttled in front of everyone's eyes. Is it the same? Sanji couldn't help but said. Wrong. Redfoot Jefu suddenly shook his head. Look carefully, Eagle Eye's palm is now covered with a layer of frost. I see, Hawkeye is going to lose. Sanji was shocked. No, it's not that simple. Red-footed Zephyr shook his head again. You are too small for the world's #1 swordsman. The real strength of Hawkeye hasn't exploded yet, but it's time. Hawkeye is not familiar with Zanpakuto's relationship. Now it has stepped back. In some people's eyes, Hawkeye is finally about to lose. But where is it so simple? But look at the next moment. When Hyōrinmaru moved up towards the Eagle Eye again, Eagle Eye suddenly held Hei Dao Yi's arm. It was pitch black, and other colors faintly mixed in the black. At last, the slash of the Eagle Eye appeared again. Too fast. With this slash, the sea and the sky are connected, the waves are cut away, and the sky is cut away. It seems that nothing can stop this slash. With the power to cut everything, he went to Chen Tian. Hawkeye's slash, even if it is the Four Emperors Kaido here, is afraid that it is the terrifying dragon body, but it is about to be slashed to make a hole. Looking at Hawkeye's slash, Zoro's eyes widened. He already knew how big the gap between himself and Hawkeye was. At the same time, Zoro and others discovered one thing, that is, the knife in the hands of Lord Seireitei had changed. The handguard has changed from a 4-pointed star to an 8-pointed star, and the appearance of Zanpakuto has also changed a little. At the same time, Chen Tian also changed. His breath also skyrocketed, and his hands and feet were wrapped in claw-shaped ice cubes. It's not just that simple. Behind it, a huge ice wing appeared. It's time to tell the winner. I will take the title of Daiguren Hyōrinmaru, the #1 swordsman in the world. Chapter 7. Advertise here. Chapter 6. The riots in the East China Sea. Hawkeye slashed with all his strength. With the power to cut everything. No matter what kind of existence, I am afraid I dare not underestimate Hawkeye's slash. When any swordsman who uses a sword sees this slash, he is afraid that he will deeply feel what is beyond reach. Dragon shot frame. Daiguren Hyōrinmaru is in hand. At this moment, Chen Tian, standing in the air, the wings cast by ice on the back seemed to be able to fly. At this moment Chen Tian straightened his sword straight. Suddenly, Hyōrinmaru's power and Hawkeye's slashes collided together. Slightly silent. After that, the billowing air wave moved towards the surroundings. The ice-covered sea completely broke the ice at this moment, and the waves rolled. The restaurant on the sea shook. Everyone hurriedly hugged the pillars or something, with a panic look on their faces for fear that they would be affected by the pond fish. What happened at the center of the fight? No one knows. At last, everything calmed down. The waves are pouring down like rain. But looking at Chen Tian, the two Yingyans have separated. Chen Tian looked calm, but Hawkeye's face looked pale, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. His face was indifferent. Without saying much, he left. Looking at this scene, both of them could see the outcome. Their pupils shrank sharply, and couldn't help taking a long breath. What is going on today? Hawkeye, who was supposed to be galloping in the New World, came to the East China Sea with the reputation of 7 warlords of the sea on his back, but he still lost. This kind of thing. How can people believe this kind of thing? Now, a pair of gazes, as if seeing a ghost, turned to the boy holding Zanpakuto with ice wings behind him. Read more at mtlarchive.com. When the two were fighting just now, no one knew what happened, and they didn't seem to deserve to see the decisive moment. But they knew that Hawkeye had lost. This is enough. Ding, congratulations on getting Luffy's 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting Zoro's 10,000 horror points. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Chen Tian took back Zanpakuto. The action was not muddled in the slightest. He glanced at the crowd, and the dull voice, which seemed to be above everything else, fell on everyone's ears. Remember, Seireitei has descended on this sea since today. The name of Gotei 13 will completely shake the world. His words made the faces of everyone present extremely wonderful. In the sea restaurant, some people feel that it is wrong to go out to sea. This sea is too dangerous, right? The little-known Seireitei, Gotei 13, is the one who came out so tough. People who boast that they are very powerful in the restaurant on the sea have to admit that their strength are not in the same dimension at all. This sea. Zoro looked at the 3 seats of the so-called 10th division who had stopped him just now and let him not make any progress, then looked at the mysterious figure of Chen Tian. He shook hands and said a word, with a firm tone. It's really wonderful, although I don't know what Gotei 13 is. But I won't lose. Zoro's words made Luffy nod. Luffy now clenched his fist. He felt scared. Terrible, this Seireitei or something, it was so terrible. The sea must be so interesting. Red-footed Jefu does not have the optimistic attitude of Luffy and others. Seireitei's Gotei 13. It always feels like they will set off a huge storm in the sea. Chen Tian took Matsumoto Rangaku and the other members of the Jufin team into the gate. When the door is closed, the door also disappeared. The mystery of Seireitei made the people present, their eyes widened, and they couldn't help but guess. Seireitei, where is it on the sea? Could it be another world? I guess it's a kingdom. Did you find it? That Seireitei's architecture is unique, it should be a kingdom. No, I think so, that's. But when the discussion came, and the discussion went, everyone finally affirmed that there is a treasure. Seeing Seireitei's appearance, you know that you have a lot of money. On this sea, too many people go to sea for treasure. Seireitei, it must be a place with many treasures. What happened here quickly spread throughout the East China Sea. This news was also passed to the Marine base in Logue Town. Within the base, Marine patrols are very rigorous, and there is an order that other small Marine bases do not have. In the office, sits Smoker with the rank of Colonel Naval Headquarters. He is wearing the Marine Justice coat, his legs are now crossed, and he has a cigar in his mouth. With his strength, there is actually a chance to be promoted. But he hasn't made this plan yet. There are many pirates in this area of the East China Sea, but the East China Sea is said to be the weakest place. The pirates here are far behind Grand Line and even New World. Sitting in Logue Town, this place of start and end, Smoker is more than enough. On weekdays, it is still very leisurely. I think there is a high probability that there will be no major events here. Chapter 8. Advertise here. Blue Brew. The phone worm in the office rang suddenly. Smoker reached out his hand to answer the phone worm unhurriedly. For him, what can happen to the East China Sea? It's just that this time it was indeed unexpected to him. The phone said that there was an extremely anxious voice over there. Colonel Smoker is not good, something has happened. Smoker raised his brows, but still asked in a calm tone, what the hell happened? Smoker has been in Logue Town for several years. He knew exactly what pirates were in the East China Sea. Sometimes I have to say that the Marine of the East China Sea is really fussing, sometimes it's just such a small matter, and they are also scorching madly. Of course, no matter how big or small it is, Marine should treat it seriously as long as it concerns people. But Marine's anxious attitude was undesirable. Hawkeye Mahawk is here, we Donghai. Smoker's brows frowned slightly when he heard the words in the phone worm. The world's largest swordsman, so many swordsmanship, the existence that wants to defeat, how did he come to this small place in the East China Sea? But Smoker felt that this incident was barely a noteworthy incident, but it was definitely not a major event. As a member of 7 warlords of the sea, Hawkeye is not an arrogant existence, but a gentlemanly man. But just as Smoker was thinking this way, the voice of the phone bug continued to gasp, and continued to say anxiously, Hawkeye came to Arjuhai, but he was defeated. Snapped. The cigar dangling from Esberg's mouth fell to the ground at this moment. This cigar that hadn't been smoked for a long time had a fascinating smell. It was directly proportional to the incredible appearance of Smoker at this moment. What kind of joke is this? Hawkeye Mahat came to the East China Sea, and then lost. You must know that the East China Sea is often called the weakest sea. How can anyone beat Eagle Eye in the quiet East China Sea? You know, Garp hasn't come back, and no suspicious people have appeared recently. But why does the existence that can defeat the Eagle Eye suddenly appear? Could it be said that in this era of great pirates, the East China Sea, called the weakest sea, is beginning to be unwilling to be lonely? Read more at mtlarchive.com. Smoker bends down, picking up the unfinished cigar, his eyes suddenly appear sharper than usual. What a great pirate era, this is completely absurd, he absolutely does not allow such things to exist. Since Donghai had such signs, he had to destroy it with the momentum of thunder at this time. Even if it is to give up one's own life. As Marine. Smoker knows his responsibilities. Say everything you know. Facing the heavy voice of Smoker that suddenly came from the phone worm, the heavy questioning, the Marine on the other side trembled and reported. That day I was eating in a restaurant on the sea, and suddenly something appeared in midair. A door, on the other side of the door, I don't know where it is at all. What I saw was a very strange but magnificent building. It was a city like a city, houses that I don't know how to describe. I don't know what to say. Colonel Smoker, please forgive me. I have never seen such a macroscopic location. It stands there. I believe that no matter who it is, it will be shocked by it. Have you been to Marine headquarters? How do you compare to Marine headquarters? Smoker was also aroused, and asked in such a cold voice. I think, over there. Marine's subordinate looked bitter, but thinking of the usual Smoker, he boldly said, I think the place called Seireitei is more than our Marine headquarters, Malinfin. It's also spectacular. He felt that what he was telling was the truth. The scene in the door that I saw that day. I don't know where it is at all. But the house rubs the grease there. The most attractive thing there is the aura of the building. Although he didn't want to admit it, he still had to admit that Marine headquarters, Marine Vatican, was really incomparable. Quote. Smoker's eyes narrowed. Seireitei. At this moment, these three words are like a brand, remembered in Smoker's heart. Go on. Smoker already feels that this time the East China Sea has really had a major event that has never happened since he was in Logue Town. The opponent is a team. They call themselves the Jufan team. Each of them wears a sword around their waist. Their costumes are very strange, mainly in black and white. By the way, their clothes are pinned on flower. Marine on the phone worm described it in detail. When talking about the knife used to defeat Hawkeye, his voice became trembling. Cold, the other party's knife is too cold, the blade all it refers to are frozen areas. It started to snow all around, and the sea was completely frozen. I don't know what to say about this force. The more Smoker listened, the more his pupils contracted. He suddenly felt that it was necessary to tell the Marine headquarters about this matter. What happened in the East China Sea this time is no small matter. The place called Seireitei, the so-called 10th division of Gotei 13 should not be underestimated. Chapter 9. Advertise here. Chapter 8 The Buddha's Sengoku's Concern. This is the office of Marshal Marine, Marine headquarters. Now Aokiji is standing here, and he put the phone worm that he usually uses to communicate with Smoker on the desk of Sengoku, the Buddha. Marshal Sengoku's expression is a bit serious now. No way, the news from Smoker is really hard to accept. Hawkeye, the world's largest swordsman, once had many powerful swordsmen in the naval headquarters to challenge him, but they all failed one by one. Except for the 1 in 5 elders, Sengoku really couldn't think of any other existence that could defeat Hawkeye Mihawk in Kendo. Eagle Eye, as one of the few people standing at the top of this sea, is now actually defeated. He didn't lose in the undercurrent of the New World, but left the crown of his world's #1 swordsman on the East China Sea that would only stir up small waves in anyone's eyes. Seireitei, Gotei 13. Mumbling these words, Sengoku of Buddha can't help but frown now. Since Roger's death, the situation on the sea is not optimistic. One after another pirates emerged. Now, in the normally peaceful East China Sea, such a thing that shocked everyone was actually happening. Seireitei had no idea where it came from. The news that he could defeat the Hawkeye, the world's largest swordsman, made it difficult for Sengoku of Buddha to accept. That mysterious place named Seireitei. That mysterious organization named Gotei 13. Each of them seems to contain a certain kind of power in the knife. They call their swords Zanpakuto. Smoker, what you said is true. Perhaps the news is too unacceptable, and it is rare for Sengoku to ask such stupid questions now. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Yes, what I said is true. I guarantee my personality is Marine. In the phone bug, Smoker's voice was solemn and solemn. Okay, I understand. The Buddha Sengoku couldn't help being silent at this moment. There are so-called doves and so-called hawks in Marine. There is no shortage of Marines who really do things for people, and Smoker is one of them. Nicknamed the White Hunter, he has the aptitude to become a lieutenant general and a person with the ability to smoke fruit. Although he does everything in his own way and does not accept discipline, some people call him a mad dog of Marine, but he is indeed worthy of the word, Marine. As a student of Zephyr, Smoker has his own righteous existence in his heart. After a while, the result of the Buddha's battle was the answer. Then can you be sure? The team that appeared there is the so-called Gotei 13's 10th team, not all the members of Gotei 13. If only the juvenile team had such power, how terrible it would be for the other 13-year-old Goni team. Such forces can also engage in trouble in the New World, let alone in the East China Sea. Smoker can't answer this question. Seireitei is too mysterious. The organization Gotei 13 is too unfamiliar to anyone. Sengoku of Buddha sighed and told Smoker to report back to Marine headquarters immediately after reporting to Marine headquarters. Sengoku of Buddha is hang up the phone worm. The Buddha Sengoku and Aokiji are left in the office. Unexpectedly, this kind of existence was hidden in the ocean before, and we didn't even discover the slightest. Is it a recently established organization or an organization with a long history? As Marshal Marine, Sengoku, who has experienced many things, now my heart is extremely heavy. So what should we do now? Aokiji asked. Investigate their news first and don't be enemies with them. After all, what their intentions are. We don't know. From the current situation, it is difficult to judge whether they are pirates or revolutionary army, mercenary. Aokiji nodded when he heard the words. Of course, he cannot issue a reward at this moment. What kind of existence is the opponent? I haven't figured it out yet. There is no obvious conflict with the world government or marine. The opponent just defeated Hawkeye. It's a sin. If a reward order turns this into an enemy, then it will be nerve-wracking enough. This can only be done at present. As Marine Marshal Sengoku, there are other things to deal with. As Marshal Marine, the documents he sent from all over were piled up like a mountain. His most anxious problem is still with the four emperors, the Kaido who is looking for death everywhere, the ant who is looking for men, who wants to get married, who wants good food, and the old enemy Whitebeard. Thinking of these three, Sengoku of Buddha really has a headache. When he woke up, Seireitei's Gotei 13 was indeed a big deal, but compared with the four emperors, it was far worse at present. It's just that Sengoku of Buddha doesn't know it. Gotei 13 will set off a huge wave on the sea that can swallow the world. Compared with Gotei 13, the four emperors will be far worse, far too much in the future. Chapter 10. Advertise here. Chapter 9. Open black lens bracket host. Chen Tian close black lens bracket. Own ability. Crossing the gate, white hits, Kido, Shunpo, Kendo, Hyōrinmaru. Positive subordinates. Gotei 13th Division 10. Negative subordinates. None. Unlocked buildings. Seireitei's building 10th team building. In the great place called Seireitei, Chen Tian walking on the broad avenue looked at his personal panel. At the same time, there were ding and ding sounds in his ears from time to time. Ding, congratulations on getting Aokiji 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting 100,000 shock points of Sengoku of Buddha. Ding, congratulations on getting. Ding, congratulations to your Hyōrinmaru, 90% awakening. The captain of the Jufin team, Hitsugaya Tōshirō, is about to appear, please keep working hard. Close black lens bracket. Chen Tian nodded slightly. Hitsugaya Tōshirō is indeed a powerful subordinate. As the king of Seireitei, he currently has too few subordinates, right? Simultaneously, Chen Tian also has something to do now, and that is to talk to Matsumoto Rangaku and other members of the 10th Division about the basic situation of the East China Sea. Matsumoto Rangaku and others stood in front of Chen Tian respectfully, and while listening to the king of Seireitei, they did not forget to bend slightly. From Chen Tian's point of view, one can clearly see what Matsumoto Rangaku is proud of. But Chen Tian just glanced at it. Suddenly, Matsumoto Rangaku said, Wang, please let me send 3 seats and 4 seats to investigate. Obviously, they are also curious about this sea of world. Regarding this, Chen Tian nodded and agreed to them. Quickly, when Chen Tian was visiting Seireitei, and before 1/10, 3 seats and 4 seats came back. Seireitei, it is too big. The time it takes to finish shopping is absolutely amazing. 3 seats and 4 seats came back with a message, read more at mtlarchive.com. King, the nobles of the Goa kingdom today, are eyeing us Seireitei. Chen Tian heard this and found it interesting. A group of ants are still eyeing the behemoth. What do you think? Have you forgotten your true strength after a long time in the top? Ding, the task of issuing the Dead World System. Task requirements. As Gotei 13 who maintains justice and stability, in this world where there is no emptiness, some people are more greedy than emptiness. Don't you want to eliminate it? Close black lens bracket. Task reward. Criminal army and related buildings, characters. The so-called criminal army are the scouts and pioneers in Seireitei who are responsible for handling and assassinating illegal compatriots. The main responsibility is to work in Seireitei. Shihuan Yoruichi, commander of the criminal army. Chen Tian thought about it. This task must be done, and there are many benefits. Seireitei, Gotei 13, will complete step by step. No doubt. The window period of the throne of heaven is over, and from now on, he will stand at the top. 10th Division, now I have a task to give you. When Chen Tian's words fell, Matsumoto Rangaku waited and knelt on one knee. Now, East China Sea. Many well-known guys in the East China Sea were invited by the heir of the Goa kingdom, the Goa prince. The Prince of Goya has always wanted to be a great king and let his achievements stand on top of the great kings. He finally waited for the opportunity. That is Seireitei. Where is Seireitei? No one knows. But the scenery of Seireitei has spread throughout the East China Sea. Many people think that there must be treasures hidden in Seireitei. Now the Goa kingdom has invited many people, including the Dragon Pirate Group, Colonel Mouse, and so on. Now, Prince Goya organized a banquet for their arrival. I need your help to find Seireitei together. The gentleman's prince, with a gentle smile on his lips. Aaron, the captain of the Dragon Pirate Group with a jagged nose, is the pirate with the highest bounty in the East China Sea. He was offered a reward of 20 million berry. He was the first to respond with a cold voice. As long as we work together, we will definitely confine Seireitei. Yes, Colonel Mouse also said loudly at the moment. Everyone can make a fortune together. The prince nodded. Between each other, they are very happy. Xiaoba in the Dragon Pirates group, when he was a child, he knew the Pluto Rayleigh, and he once saved the Pluto Rayleigh. Looking at the beaming middle-aged man in front of him, he hesitated very much and said courageously, "In case, what if Seireitei is something we can't afford to provoke?" The opponent defeated Hawkeye. The power of the Eagle Eye is enough to sweep the entire East China Sea. The Dragon Pirate group in the East China Sea is naturally a huge monster, but compared to the Eagle Eye, which is recognized by many as the world's largest swordsman, it is inferior. Too much. Hearing Xiao Ba's disappointing words, Aaron didn't seem very happy, and said unhappy, "Everyone has weaknesses, we don't have to fight him hard, do we?" The prince nodded. "You can rely on wisdom." At the banquet, they were proud of their faces again. Xiao Ba felt that something bad seemed to happen. Chapter 11. In the dark night, the moon and stars are scarce. This is a different night from the past. The prince of the Goa kingdom invited the dragon pirates and Colonel Mouse to gather together. This was an incredible thing. Who would believe that Marine and the pirates can also join the banquet? But this is really a simple matter for the rich. Who said that Marine and pirates can't play together? The truth of this world will always be more cruel than the common people know. This is above the high walls of the Goa kingdom. Soldiers in the uniforms of the king's army are yawning, lethargic, and the peace for many years has made them lazy. The army is more of a mess. Qualified aristocratic children. It is difficult for the civilians of the Goya kingdom to get promotion. Really, why is it our turn to stand guard today? To be honest, I want to attend the banquet too. I also really want to attend this banquet. I heard that our prince brought out a lot of expensive drinks. Our prince is not easy. Our king has repeatedly said that our prince will surely lead the kingdom of Goa to rise in the future. The prince has the aspirations and abilities that previous kings did not have. Our brother the kingdom of Asia will reach its true peak under the leadership of this prince. Quote. But of course there are several cautious presences in the king's army. I heard that the prince invited the dragon pirates and marine to find the location of Seireitei together and get the treasure there. I think this is a bit too risky. But like what happens in the banquet hall, people with a cautious character say this at this moment, as if pouring cold water on the heat, they are always despised. Heart, you are so brave. To know that you want treasures, you must have enough courage. It seems that you can only be a poor bachelor for a lifetime. Seireitei, of course, is a very powerful place, but we can use tactics to confuse each other. I believe the prince will definitely come up with many tactics. Seireitei, this place, and the treasure must belong to us. Heart, don't you admit that you are timid now? Heart looked at them, and when he was about to say something, his eyes widened, the expression on his face gradually sluggish, and the sluggishness quickly turned into a deep shock, and finally couldn't help but tremble. Look at it. What are you looking at? The others were taken aback, turned around and looked around, and their pupils suddenly shrank with fright. But seeing that there was nothing in the air, a door suddenly appeared. The appearance of this door is exactly the same as the door connected to Seireitei in recent rumors. Seireitei is there again. In retrospect, a few bold king soldiers became excited. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Go and tell the prince, Seireitei has appeared again. Immediately there were soldiers coming. But the cautious Heart and others frowned. Heart couldn't help but mutter dully, is it really a good treasure that has arrived? Right now, swish. The members of the Jufan team came out one by one through the gate. The apparent death tyrant pretends to be impressive and unforgettable at a glance. Hado, punch. The 4th of Hado, Bai Lei. 11th of Hado, thunder. 12th of Hado, Fu Huo. Quote. The sins of the Goa kingdom. The Jufan team has made a clear investigation. This is a kingdom in which the so-called nobility and high-level members will not be removed one by one, and it will be difficult for the common people to obtain true freedom and fairness. Flames, thunder and lightning. Boom, boom, boom. The violent explosion sounded through the void. In the mountains next to the Goya kingdom, countless birds were awakened in their sleep and then flew out randomly. In the forest, the beasts that should have been sleeping have also woken up, crawling on the ground under the power of Reiatsu, without the ferocity of the past, but surrendered one by one. Not sure about the terminal, the central street, and the palace. It can be said that all the people who got it were shaken by the huge movement. One by one, they walked out of the original shelter. When they saw the city wall, flames, thunder and lightning. When the scene crossed, many nobles were scared to death. The figure of Matsumoto Rangaku has also appeared. That proud figure has brought no glamorous good news. On the order of the king of Seireitei, to eradicate all unfair and unequal bloodlines in existence, to implement Seireitei's rules, you are not imaginary, but with the same greed, it is time to accept the trial of Seireitei Gotei 13, the Jufan team. Matsumoto Rangaku is also a Hado. Hado's 50, the earth turns figurines. Suddenly, boom, the earth seemed to have experienced a violent earthquake, but it began to shake, and the surrounding houses also tremble. Some people stand unsteady and fall directly. How is this going? Raiden, is it thunder fruit? Impossible, then the power of this earthquake, Whitebeard can't be here. Quote. Chapter 12. Advertise here. How could things be like this? Goya Prince looked pale, looking at the terrifying sights of thunder and lightning, flames and so on in the distance, and roared in disbelief. They should have found Seireitei, and then deliberately approached, making them negligent, thinking that they are friends, and then. But what is going on now? Seireitei's Gotei 13th Division actually took the initiative to attack. Thunder and lightning. They have the power of thunder and lightning, is it thunder fruit? But why can several of them use the power of thunder and lightning? There is an earthquake, and I can't stand still. Isn't this the shock fruit of Whitebeard, the king of New World? Run. Help. 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 Who will help me? Under the power of Kido, some hooligans and nobles who were arrogant in the past paled with fright. Nobles usually feel that they are superior. The nobles of Goa Kingdom, although they do not wear the glass cover of celestial dragons, they have learned the temperament of celestial dragons. But before this moment of the Jufan team's offensive, they were one by one the poor people and slaves who were spurred by them in peace. What's the difference? They screamed in horror, and they fled in a hurry. There is no doubt that the entire Goa Kingdom is in chaos at this moment. The poor people hid at home. They dared not go out for fear that they would block the way of the nobles and be killed by the nobles. The nobles killed them, and there is no so-called law that can punish them. But if they ran into a nobleman when they ran away, they would be held accountable afterwards, and the end would be very serious. The poor people have also discovered one thing. The Gotei 13th team, which has been turbulent recently, seems to have no intention of hurting them. The panic of the nobles. The screams of the nobles. Instantly flooded every corner of the Goa Kingdom. Gotei 13 belongs to Chen Tian, is a positive organization, and naturally does positive things. Right now, with the strength of the Jufan team, the high walls blocking the slums began to collapse. Prince Goya thought that tonight, working with the dragon pirates and some Colonel Marine, it would be a bright future. But tomorrow, will it come? The Prince Goya was angry and yelled at the escaped king's army, "You are actually running away. What are you doing? Now what you are doing should be an offensive. Go on an offensive." Only a few of the fleeing king's army stood still, willing to follow the orders of the Prince Goya when they were in a panic, and shoot at the position of the juvenile team. Boom. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Boom. Boom. Intensive gunfire sounded, countless bullets densely packed, and headed towards the members of the Jufan team. It just didn't work at all. Shinigami who can enter Gotei 13, even if it is not the captain, the deputy captain, 3 seats, 4 seats, all have strong power. In front of their Zanpakuto, what is the bullet? Even if you don't use Zanpakuto, you have to deal with bullets. The Jufan team has a way. Shinigami usually uses Kido. Kido refers to advanced spells that only Shinigami can use, and is divided into 3 types: Hado, Bakudo, and Kaido. Kaido, there are fewer Shinigami, which is a kind of treatment for Kido, and Unohana Retsu will definitely do it. 1 of Bakudo, stuffed. The 4th of Bakudo, this rope. The 8th of Bakudo, scold. Suddenly some of the king's army found that their hands were clasped by something unknown, and they could no longer move. Some were tied up with a luminous rope, and suddenly couldn't move. Others felt weak in their limbs and fell straight down. Prince Goya watched the king's army fall one after another, his eyelids trembled fiercely, and his feet trembled. When he saw the dragon pirates and some Colonel Marine rushing towards this place with the king, Prince Goya smiled. The situation was flustered just now. Prince Goya asked them to save their father, the king of Goya Kingdom. Now the king rushed to the front of the Goya prince, and slapped the slap directly on the Goya prince's cheek. He roared. "I was wrong. You will not bring the Goya Kingdom to the top. You only it will make the Goa Kingdom go to extinction." Prince Goya's handsome cheek was red, and he didn't believe that he would be the one who ended the kingdom of Goya. Is it because of their own greed and desire to get Seireitei's treasure? That's why Seireitei's 10th team was attracted. Prince Goya looked at Eren, Colonel Mouse and other marine colonels, and said, "I believe you can defeat them." Colonel Eren, Mouse and other colonels glanced at each other, then looked at the scene in front of them, flames overflowing, thunder and lightning flooded in the space, and the earth trembled. What happened to the 10th division? Why does it have such power? Eren's eyes were shocked, and his heart was terrified. It is impossible to defeat them, but we can escape. Colonel Mouse waited and nodded. Many people are now at large. Jufan, it's impossible to kill everyone, right? Yes, I am confident that I can escape. I think we can only run away now. Prince Goya, King Goya heard this, secretly Dao Goya Kingdom, is it really hopeless? The kingdom is gone. What should I do? Funeral. Do not. King Goya, Prince Goya immediately screamed, panicked, take us away. Yes, we also have some treasures, take us away, and we are willing to give it to you. But at this moment, a figure appeared on the way they were going to escape. Shunpo is under his feet. Soon he arrived in front of Eren and others. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth was filled with a hint of smile. Chapter 13. Advertise here. Looking at the young man dressed in front of him, he has to pay attention, and the temperament is full of death tyrants. Eren, Colonel Mouse, and King Goya have all guessed the identity of this teenager. Too young. Even if they knew some information a long time ago, when they saw Chen Tian, their hearts were still heavy and surprised. Such a young boy should have just gone to sea at the age, but he defeated the Hawkeye of the world's largest swordsman. Eren and others thought they could find Seireitei by relying on a hypocritical mask, pretending to be friends with Seireitei. Unexpectedly, Seireitei came to the door by himself. Goya Kingdom, such a mess, this is a terrible scene that the once revolutionary dragon arrived, and there was no such thing. There is no doubt that it is impossible to be a friend. Separate. Eren gave an order, and immediately he, Colonel Mouse, and others went in all directions one by one. The king of Goya and the prince of Goya were stunned, and he didn't expect to be abandoned. Among them, the most devastated is the Prince Goya, who originally thought he would entertain the dragon and pirates, and he was the protagonist. He can be the leader looking for Seireitei's gang, but from the current situation, it can be seen that even if everything goes according to plan, the Goya prince knows that in the end, Eren and others will definitely abandon him. Thinking of this, Prince Goya trembled, and he couldn't help but murmured in horror, "Don't I have the temperament and ability of a leader at all? Goya Kingdom will die in my hands. Sit in the frosty sky, Hyōrinmaru. There is no need for Hyōrinmaru to deal with Eren and others." However, at this moment Hyōrinmaru awakens 90%, only 10% short of Hitsugaya Tōshirō can appear. Finally, there is a captain-level subordinate in Shinigami, how can Chen Tian do it? The cold air began to flood between heaven and earth. Everyone in the entire Goya kingdom sensed the cold. The poor people in the bed, knowing that the Jufan team would not come to disturb themselves, they hid in the bed. Some of the nobles who fled in a panic were directly frozen by the cold. Chen Tian gripped Hyōrinmaru tightly. The wings of ice, behind Chen Tian, set off this handsome boy even more like a god. Following Hyōrinmaru's slaying, an ice dragon followed by an ice dragon, with a terrifying chill and terrifying power, went to the Eren who had fled in all directions just now. The strength of the monster. How can we beat such an opponent? Read more at mtlarchive.com. The evil dragon and pirate groups, under the encirclement and suppression of the ice dragon, gathered again. The strength of Colonel Mouse is really bad. He lost a lot of people to the word, colon. Now, being frozen by the ice dragon, his soul will die in the ice. At this point, we have no other way. Along took a few deep breaths, only to recover from the panic. He gritted his teeth, knowing that he could only fight. He has his own weapon, cutting the peak. Of course, he is also a weapon. It has a jagged nose, steel-like bones, arms that lift the house, teeth that can continuously regenerate, and a powerful jaw. The bite force of a cannonball. Yes, do it, Xiao Ba nodded. He has many arms, and he is good at Ba Dao flow. Kruby from the dragon pirate group also nodded. On. They swarmed up, aimed at one of the ice dragons, and rushed up. Looking at this scene, Prince Goya, King Goya hoped that Eren and the others could hold each other for a while and let them escape. What? But they only have this idea. But looking at the evil dragon and pirate group, the entire army has been wiped out. Victory. It was just a blink of an eye. Eren is dead. The other members of the pirate group were also on the verge of death one by one, destined to lose their last breath in the freezing. How so? Such a huge gap made the King of Goya and Prince Goya's face collapsed. Help me. At this time, there was one last breath, Xiao Ba who felt that he was still saved, struggling to make his last voice. But Chen Tian didn't care. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points from the noble in Fuao. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points from the noble Yaris. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points from Goya King. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Ding, congratulations on your Zanpakuto Hyōrinmaru awakening 100%. Ding, congratulations, you will get the captain of the juvenile team Hitsugaya Tōshirō. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth has a hint of smile. Help me. Xiao Ba was still screaming with his last strength, and even said his whole card that he had hidden deeper, Pluto Rayleigh. I know Pluto Rayleigh. Pluto Rayleigh. King Goya was taken aback. Many young people in the ocean today are afraid that they have forgotten the powerful figure of King Rayleigh, but King Goya has never been before. When he was young, he had envied and even admired the power of Rayleigh. I didn't expect that the humble crew of the dragon pirates in the East China Sea would know the King Rayleigh. However, Chen Tian ignored him. Xiao Ba, die. It's over. It's over. He doesn't even pay attention to Pluto Rayleigh. At this moment, King Goya is desperate. Are you really going to subdue your country? Where are you all? I am in the south, but I feel so cold. Chapter 14. Advertise here. King Goya is desperate. The opponent didn't even look at Pluto Rayleigh. So what is your identity? The Prince of Goya, the army of the kingdom, and some nobles are also desperate. Chen Tian now stands in front of King Goya. You, what do you want to do? King Goya's body was trembling, even his voice was trembling. Chen Tian didn't answer his question immediately, but glanced around. Matsumoto Rangaku and the members of the 10th division have brought all the so-called nobles here. Of course, most of the nobles are dead. Chen Tian still did not speak. He communicated with the system. When the task has reached this point, it is considered complete, right? Open black lens bracket, you can say so. Close black lens bracket, the system responded to Chen Tian's words. Ding, congratulations on completing the task. Close black lens bracket. Ding, congratulations on getting the criminal army. Ding, congratulations on your acquisition of the Xingjun-related characters, Shihu and Yoruichi. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the facilities related to the criminal army in Seireitei. Confession Palace, Sokyoku Station. Confession Palace. Located in the center of Seireitei, the high ground south of Gotei 13 Team House is the place where felons are imprisoned. In the original work, Rukia Kuchiki lived here for nearly half a month. The interior is divided into deep prisons, numbered with numbers, and Rukia is imprisoned in 4 deep prisons. The exterior of the building is a huge white tower made of murderous stones. There are steps leading to the cell at a higher level. On the other side of the tower, there is a rope bridge leading to the Sokyoku platform. Kurosaki Ichigo once fought Abarai Renji in front of the tower, and Renji later duel with Captain Byakuya Kuchiki here. Sokyoku Station. It is also called the Mao Execution Ground, which is the form, and is the place where Sokyoku is launched. Chen Tian smiled slightly, this time he has gained a lot. At this time, Chen Tian looked at the King Goya in front of him, his tone was flat, and he had no good feelings for this guy. Gotei 13, maintain the order of Soul Society and the world, you are the destroyers of the world order. Soul Society. This world, some people present didn't understand it at all. Please don't kill me, please don't kill me, I will give you whatever you want, even in this country, I can give it to you, don't kill me. King Goya also didn't want to understand anything, trembling, looking at Chen Tian in horror, immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. Chen Tian looked at Prince Goya. The Prince Goya wept even more. I was wrong, I knew it was wrong, I couldn't help but dare to offend Seireitei, please Great Master Seireitei, let me go. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Those nobles also knelt down and begged one by one. It's none of my business. Please let me go, everything is the fault of the stupid Prince Goya. He is so greedy that he has thoughts about Seireitei that he shouldn't have. Quote. Among them was Outlook 3, he was no one else but Sabo's father. Right now, for the 3 seats of the 10th division, from the king's body, the phone worm was found all the time. Chen Tian smiled slightly, looked at King Goya, and said, the time to return them to freedom is here, do you know what to do? The boys laugh, so gentle, but it made King Goya's heart cold. He tremblingly received the phone worm, struggling for a moment, still bite the bullet, and his panic voice, connected to the broadcasts of various places through the phone worm, spread throughout the kingdom of Goa. Citizens of the Goya kingdom, I am your king. I was wrong, and the nobleman of the Goa kingdom was wrong. From today, you are free, this country is left to you, you can choose the king you want by yourself, and you can. Chen Tian stood aside. Matsumoto Rangaku and the members of the juvenile division stood respectfully behind Chen Tian. Looking at Chen Tian's back with respect. This is Seireitei's job. Maintain the stability of the world. If it can make people in this world live a happier life, that would be even better. Chen Tian knew he had to do this. At this moment, he is the master of the positive Seireitei. The negative forces have not yet appeared. Currently, he is doing what he should do. Night. Over the Goa kingdom, the king's voice was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears through the broadcast. Center Street. Gaojun. The Palace. Windmill Village. Mount Kolber. Uncertain Thing Terminal. Duanjun. The people in the room at this moment, Mackinaw and others, were all taken aback. After recovering, happy and joyful smiles appeared at the corners of their mouths. Are we free? Sing to Seireitei. Yeah, Seireitei is so great. In the future, Seireitei will be the place I am longing for. King Goya looked at Chen Tian tremblingly. Then what do you do with us now? Chen Tian thought about it. Can't help but think of Ryūkongai. Ryūkongai, is it an indispensable place for Soul Society? System, how should Ryūkongai unlock it? Close black lens bracket. Chapter 15. Advertise here. What is Ryūkongai? For Soul Society, it is as important as Seireitei. The place where all ordinary souls, full, leave this world and are guided, soul burial, through Shinigami. The souls who come to the Soul Society will be issued sorting coupons, which will be allocated to 80 regions in the southeast, northwest and northwest according to the order of death. The public security and living environment of the first district are ideal, and the food is plentiful. In the 80th district, there is no grass and famines everywhere. Everyone's souls kill each other to determine who gets the right to survive. By analogy, as the number of area codes increases, the public security and living conditions in each district will decline and become worse. It's not time yet, you have to unlock all the buildings in Seireitei. The system quickly gave Chen Tian a reply. Chen Tian nodded. Knowing that I have a long way to go. Some buildings in Seireitei haven't been unlocked yet, so I think of Ryūkongai, right? Smiled. Chen Tian smiled at Matsumoto Rangaku and said, I'll leave it to your 10th division here. He said he had no interest in King Goya or something. If it weren't for the system task, he would not bother to take action on the Goya kingdom. To know, on this sea, there are many countries. Compared with the country of He, this Goya kingdom seems to be nothing. Seireitei. Chen Tian is back here again. Right now. The criminal army has appeared and is patrolling. Compared to the black and white of death tyrants. Xingjun's costume is mainly black. At this moment, it is Shihuan Yoruichi who is leading the criminal army. Read more at mtlarchive.com. This is a woman known as Flash Goddess. With long purple hair, golden eyes and brown skin, now leading the criminal army on patrol, he came to Chen Tian's face. Salute one by one. Yoruichi shrugged and smiled. Oh, there are so few things in Seireitei now, should I still patrol? The easy-going, cheerful personality is shown at this moment. Chen Tian smiled. Everyone should have everybody's responsibilities. Yoruichi nodded. Thinking of something, he akimbo and said, by the way, do you like cats? Black cats. Chen Tian pondered for a while, and said, yes. I will give you one another day. After that, Yoruichi took Xingjun away with satisfaction. The connotation in the words, I am afraid that only the two parties will know it. Chen Tian now has another thing to do. He first checked his personal properties panel. Open black lens bracket host. Chen Tian close black lens bracket. Own ability. Crossing the gate, white hits, Hito, Shunpo, Kendo Zanpakuto. Positive subordinates. 10th Division, Shingjun. Negative subordinates. None. Unlocked buildings. Seireitei's 10th Division Team Building, Seireitei's Confession Palace, Seireitei's Sokyoku Platform, Criminal Army Building. Test. You still have a handful of Zanpakuto, but you haven't received it. Close black lens bracket. Hyōrinmaru has awakened 100%. It's also time to receive a new Zanpakuto. This is also related to which new squad will appear. In fact, Gotei 13, within Seireitei, each performs its own duties. All Gotei 13 members are Shinigami. Each team has a captain, one deputy captain, the first division is an exception, there are 2 deputy captains and there are several ranks of seat officers. The seats are generally arranged in order of strength. The third seat officer is also responsible for assisting the deputy captain. By analogy, there are more than 200 grassroots players in the end. Correct. Today's 10th division has more than 200 people. But definitely not as many as Shingjun. Shingjun, counted in 10,000. But usually only the patrol team appears. Excuse me, do you receive a new Zanpakuto now? Close black lens bracket. No doubt, Chen Tian is already wondering what his second Zanpakuto is. Receive. Chapter 16. Advertise here. Chen Tian is very curious, what exactly is the second Zanpakuto he wants to get? Ding, congratulations on getting the Shinso of Zanpakuto. Shinso. When Chen Tian first heard it, he still didn't react, and then understood, isn't this Zanpakuto of Ichimaru Jin? Ichimaru Jin, the captain of the 3rd division. His Zanpakuto is Shinso. Now, Chen Tian stretched out his hand. A Zanpakuto appeared in his hand immediately. Its blade was S-shaped, and its blade was short, seemingly ordinary. But Chen Tian knows that this Zanpakuto cannot be underestimated. After Shikai, it can expand and contract freely and change its length. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the 3rd division. Hira Izuru, the deputy captain of the 3rd division. 3 seats Togakushi Raikuu, 4 seats. The team flower of the 3rd division is Marigold, which means despair, and that is the central idea of the 3rd division. Fighting cannot be regarded as heroic behavior, and the battle camp cannot be created into a hearty atmosphere. The so-called battle should be full of despair, gloomy and terrifying. Fighting will only be cruel. Only in this way will people be afraid of fighting and choose avoid the road of battle. Ding, congratulations on unlocking related buildings, the 3rd team building. The 3rd team house is unlocked. The team house of the 3rd division is located by the water, with woods next to it, and wooden roads, which can reach the door. Right now, the members of the 3rd division appeared one by one. For the 3rd team and the 2nd Zanpakuto, Chen Tian at the moment is satisfied. Of course, while someone is satisfied, someone must be annoyed. For example, the current naval headquarters. Wow. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The bells and sirens of Marine's emergency meeting resounded over naval headquarters. The residential area, the Marine Academy, and the Marine soldiers standing guard in the headquarters, whether they were asleep or not, were all stunned by the alarm in the early morning when the sky was still dark. Everyone is guessing what happened, and naval headquarters held a meeting during this time period. The Major General, the Lieutenant General, and even Admiral, who was called a terrible existence, all their eyes condensed at this moment, putting on Marine's justice coat, and walking toward the meeting room one by one. Under Marine's efficient action, within a few minutes, all the people with the title of Zhong arrived in the conference room one by one, sitting in their respective positions with serious faces. Of course, the expressions of Garp and Kizaru are definitely exceptional. But they are also full of doubts, guessing what exactly happened. At this moment, everyone looked and saw Sengoku, Martial Marine Buddha, and now walked in with a heavy face. Under the eyes of everyone, the Buddha Sengoku sat in the first place, his eyes wearing a pair of frog glasses, glanced at the generals, and the beard with his chin tied in a twist could not help but flick. It was a solemn voice. There is a major incident, I want to tell you that just now, a piece of news came from the Intelligence Bureau. The Goa Kingdom in the East China Sea was attacked by the forces of Seireitei, Gotei 13th Division. His voice fell. Garp couldn't help putting down his snacks. Donghai, that's his hometown. Many generals glanced at Lieutenant General Garp, and then spoke one by one. Seireitei is the organization where the man who defeated Hawkeye belongs. Sure enough, as analyzed by a Kainu admiral, Seireitei's Gotei 13 should be our enemy. Marshal Sengoku, what's the situation? Are there serious casualties? Crane also spoke. Facing the words of Crane, Sengoku of the Buddha looked a little depressed and said, those poor people are fine, but the system of the Goa Kingdom has completely collapsed, and the nobles have lost their control. What? Even if it was 3 Admiral, I didn't expect the development of things to be like this. Aokiji did not speak. Kizaru suddenly felt that this matter was not serious. Garp was still worried about his hometown, but after hearing these words, he continued to eat scallops. Garp knows exactly what virtues the nobles of the Goa Kingdom are. He thinks Seireitei's Gotei 13 or something, it doesn't seem to be a big evil. Instead, a Kainu patted the long office angrily. It disturbs the existence of justice, and there is no forgiveness. Lieutenant General Ghost Spider stood up in agreement and said, Marshal Sengoku, this is a provocation to the order promulgated by the world government. Correct. The original order of the Goa Kingdom was completely in accordance with the order promulgated by the world government. The deeds of the 10th Division, in this view, seem to be really provoking the world government. Sengoku nodded. As a marshal, then he must do what Marshal Marine must do. Maintaining the laws promulgated by the world government is also what Marshal Marine has to do. Lieutenant General Ghost Spider, sit down first. After Sengoku let the Ghost Spider sit down, he glanced around, and said, at present, we must let the owner of the so-called Seireitei come to our naval headquarters, and give an explanation about this matter. If he is not satisfied with the explanation given, then. As soon as Sengoku's voice fell, Marine Admiral Akainu stood up and said grimly, I have an idea about this. Chapter 17. Advertise here. Sengoku of Buddha looked at Akainu. Akainu is one of Marine's 3 admiral, and Marine's indispensable combat power. Let's talk. Akainu said with a cold face, it's time for me to go to the East China Sea. I will let the so-called Gotei 13's Jufan team know that the world government cannot be provoked. Akainu knows how much this incident will help him. He needs to let the world government know that Akainu maintains the world government. No, I want to go together. Just as Akainu's words fell, Garp stood up abruptly, glanced at Akainu, and stared at the Buddha Sengoku and said, Sengoku, this time, no matter what. The old man participated in this action. In any case, Donghae is Garp's hometown. The hawkish Akainu is there, who knows what will happen. You know, Akainu can sometimes sacrifice a lot of people for the task. Sengoku looked at Garp with a serious face and understood Garp's thoughts. He pondered for a moment. Thinking of the friendship with Garp for many years, he nodded and said, I promise you. Both Aokiji and Kizaru Admiral have not spoken yet. But Sengoku stared at Aokiji with a serious face, and said, this time, Seireitei's affairs are entrusted to a few lieutenants and Garp. What? Akainu frowned slightly, her face calm. He raised this first. But Sengoku's current majesty is not to be offended. Sengoku continued, we are most concerned about the 4 emperors of New World. The 3 admiral must stare at them. Everyone has no time to leave. I heard that the Whitebeard pirates may be a war with Beast's pirates. Regarding the so-called Seireitei in the East China Sea, we can no longer ignore it. Sending out Garp and a few lieutenants is enough to defeat them and obtain intelligence. Of course, intelligence is the priority, understand. Goya Kingdom is gone. The Goya Kingdom, the most loyal to the world government, is gone. The world government will definitely come to ask themselves. Sengoku of Buddha is solemn now. Garp said, who will follow me? Sengoku replied. Doberman, Ghost Spider, Stallo Berry, Burning Mountain, Mole. There is no doubt that these are lieutenants who have executed the Demon Slayer order. Their style is close to Akainu, and like Akainu, they belong to the Hawks. Seeing this, Akainu didn't say anything more. The other lieutenants in the room looked at each other, and they felt that Seireitei and Gotei 13 were about to be finished. Garp plus these 5 lieutenants. With such a lineup, there is no possibility of defeat. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Seireitei, although it sounds mysterious, but I want to come, there will be no news from them in the sea. The master of Seireitei, who defeated Hawkeye, is afraid to enter Impel Down and spend his lonely and miserable life. Huo Shaoshan and other lieutenant generals, and Xia lieutenant generals, are all first-class existences. Let's talk about Garp, although it is a lieutenant general. But everyone in the Marine headquarters has to admit that in this Marine headquarters, speaking of the strongest, it is never 3 admiral, not Sengoku of Buddha, but Garp. Back then, Lox was indirectly defeated by Garp. At that time, Roger, the Pirate King, was chased by Garp and ran everywhere. This man who can only gnaw senbei and sniffs at ordinary times has immeasurable power hidden in his body. Sengoku's thoughts are the same as those of other lieutenants. Seireitei, it's over. Now he nodded and continued. The other people are not without things to do. According to the schedule, they stay in Marine's life and continue to stand by. The others perform what they should do while staring at the 4 emperors of New World. Quote. Yes, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, etc. and the other generals responded with straight faces. This time I go to the East China Sea, do I need to conceal my whereabouts and block the news? Huo Shaoshan suddenly asked at this moment. No need. Buddha Sengoku glanced at the crane and said. Crane has just given Sengoku some advice with his eyes. Seireitei's style is very open and close, not like hiding the head and showing the tail, that is to say, they will definitely show up. After that, the others left the meeting room with solemn expressions. Now, the morning sun is rising. The warmth was scattered on the Marine headquarters building. Marine headquarters began to get busy. A team of Marine soldiers began to assemble, and more than a dozen warships have been docked in the crescent-shaped harbor. A Marine logistics staff carried strategic materials and so on onto the warship. Aokiji personally came to help. His relationship with Garp has always been good. A few hours later, the top 10 warships were ready to set off, and all the cannons on the warships were filled with shells. On the deck, the Marine soldiers looked serious. They followed the Hawk Marine generals on weekdays, and they kept fighting all the time. Let's go. It should have been Garp, but Garp was lazily on the deck, seeming to fall asleep. Huo Shaoshan shook his head, and waved his hand expressionlessly behind him. The messenger immediately passed the order to the other warships through the phone worm. Suddenly, 10 warships, all set sail, under Vegapunk's technology, heading in the direction of the East China Sea at a speed faster than the pirate group. On the headquarters building, Buddha Sengoku watched the 10 warships go away and nodded. But the crane beside him felt that his eyelids were beating fiercely. I always feel that Seireitei is not that simple. Crane finally couldn't help but said. The Buddha Sengoku shook his head when he heard the words, thinking that Crane was thinking too much. How could such a lineup fail? Chapter 18. Advertise here. Marine headquarters, Garp was dispatched, and it was quickly discovered by the Jufin. The 3 seats of the 10th Division immediately returned to Seireitei. Wang, the naval headquarters has been dispatched, and the leader is Garp. Seireitei. Chen Tian is standing on the Sokyoku stage. He is very curious about this place. You know, this is the place where Rukia was executed in the original book. There is a tool of torture here, which is composed of a spear and another thing. After the spear is liberated, it is a giant bird in the posture of King of Destruction. It is said that there are 1 million Zanpakuto's destructive powers. The giant bird of King Ryūjin is said to have the destructive power of 1 million Zanpakuto. The ability is to cut and penetrate Shinigami's body. But in the original work, Kurosaki Ichigo actually stopped it. In Chen Tian's view, this is simply impossible. It can only be said that the protagonist's halo is so powerful. Garp, as well as several lieutenants of the Demon Slayer, naval headquarters is a big deal this time. Listening to the words of the 3rd Division team, Chen Tian raised a slight smile at the corner of his mouth, and looked at it. There was no nervousness or fear. Let my criminal army go and deal with them. By coincidence, Shihu and Yoruichi took the criminal army and patrolled here. Shihu and Yoruichi, the woman, immediately called for battle. Yoruichi, if you just use Shunpo, it will be difficult to beat Garp. Chen Tian shook his head and said, this Garp is not simple at all. Even if you don't eat devil fruit, it still has magical abilities. Quote. Where is the magic? Shihu and Yoruichi was curious. Chen Tian said calmly. He will create something out of nothing, and suddenly take out a big iron ball. Shihu and Yoruichi and others. Chen Tian smiled again, and calculated his own combat power. To be honest, Chen Tian doesn't think he will lose. Rather than let them find us, it is better for us to find the door ourselves. Chen Tian shrugged and smiled. We, Seireitei, are not an evil place. Let naval headquarters understand that we are the ones who really enforce justice. But they have messed up the world. The order of the world, we Shinigami have the final say. His voice resounded throughout Seireitei. Yes. All Shinigami responded with respect. This is Donghai Windmill Village. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Marine's warships have Vegapunk's technology, and its speed is not comparable to that of pirate ships. Right now, stopped on the coast of Windmill Village. The people in Windmill Village were not scared by the coming warship. After all, the people here are very familiar with Garp. The people here also seem to be courageous, and they are bigger than the people in other places. The bandits here once insulted the red hair of one of the 4 emperors. The Sea Kings here can also bite off one of the red-haired Shanks's arms. Here, at this moment, the villagers of Windmill Village are surrounded by Garp. All of them are very angry. What, are you going to deal with Seireitei's decimal division? How can you Marine do this? Seireitei, that's where justice lies. Jufin, they bring real peace to the East China Sea, do you Marine know? Even Magino said angrily to Garp, Mr. Garp, I have always admired you, but how can you do this? Garp, unexpectedly. Seireitei, so popular. In this case, do you still have to fight? Garp feels really tired. Now surrounded by fellow villagers, he doesn't know how to answer. Can't everyone give an iron fist of love, right? At this moment, the burning mountain on the warship, the mole, etc., are looking at the scene in the Windmill Village from a distance. But they were talking about another thing. The guy with the strange sword with the same freezing ability as Aokiji Admiral, let me deal with it. In the beginning, Doberman, who had 4 X-shaped scars on his face, said this first. You must accumulate credit now, Lieutenant General. It may be the end of their lives. But it may not be. The highest-ranking lieutenant in the credit book is also likely to become admiral in the future. No, leave it to me. I feel let me deal with him. Quote. They are not sure of victory. But Garp is there. Garp's aura will shock the opponent and cause the opponent's strength to be greatly reduced. Under such circumstances, there is still a chance of victory. At this moment, Doberman's observation Hockey noticed something first, and suddenly looked towards the ocean ahead, where a door appeared. Hey, is that the door to Seireitei? The other lieutenants, as well as other marine soldiers, looked up one by one now. The door opened, and they saw the scenery of Seireitei among them, and suddenly their pupils shrank suddenly. I saw that the scenery there was too majestic and magnificent. The scenery there had a special style, which gave people a sense of dignity spontaneously. It's really more magnificent than our marine headquarters, no, more majestic than the buildings of the world government. Some marine soldiers couldn't help but exclaim. Calm down, ready to fight. Doberman yelled immediately after he recovered. Chapter 19. Advertise here. Doberman's roar did not calm down the agitated emotions of the marine soldiers. The majesty of Seireitei seen from that door was really shocking, and made the marine soldiers from the confidence they were just now full of suspicion. As this Seireitei, it's too magnificent. Isn't our marine a rival? It would be great if there were 3 admiral. 3 admiral plus Lieutenant General Garp would definitely be possible, but can we really win now? Hearing the murmurs of marine soldiers at this moment, Doberman clenched his fists, and even the ghost spider, Huo Shaoshan roared at the soldiers. What are you talking about? You must know that the other party is absolutely not that way. It's amazing. One person's knife may have eaten devil fruit, and it has the ability to freeze. How can everyone's knives have eaten devil fruit? We marine will definitely win. Is this the so-called Seireitei? Where is this place on the sea? Garp now has a serious face looking at the sight of Seireitei among the doors that appeared on the sea, the majestic Seireitei. No matter who reads it, it will leave a deep mark in the depths of the soul. The villagers of Windmill Village are still screaming, hoping that Garp will not fight Seireitei's people. At this time, a neat and orderly sound of footsteps sounded from Seireitei's side, and then the figures in black and white death tyrant costumes slowly walked out. Your opponent is Gotei 13th Division 3. Hyōrinmaru said lightly. Garp Wei Shu brows, isn't it the 10th Division? Why did you become a 3rd Division team? Roar. Fire dragon. Roar. My green ghost frog. Fairy far. A sharp blade in the ocean. Quote. Now one after another Shinigami, Shikai and their Zanpakuto, suddenly their Zanpakuto, and then, in the shocked eyes of all marines such as Doubtman, Garp, their knives became weird. Even Zanpakuto of Kira-Izuru also started Shikai. Look up. Surprise. This is that his front end turns into a hook shape, which will continue to double the weight of the target. Eventually, the enemy will fall down because he cannot bear the accumulated weight. Then the enemy will definitely stick out his head like an apology, hence the name as Wabisuk. Cut twice at once. Cut 3 times to quadruple. One after another Shikai's Zanpakuto directly scared the marine soldiers stupid, secretly saying that this is simply different from what the lieutenant general said. This third team, everyone's knives seem to have been eaten. Devil fruit. Read more at mtlarchive.com. At the same time, with Shikai, their Reiatsu gathered together, bringing a terrible feeling of depression. The marine soldiers couldn't help but fear. You are marine, right? You think you are righteous, and we, Seireitei, are also the reason for justice. Why do we fight with each other? People in this world. On the side of the gate, Chen Tian's figure appeared. But he didn't step out of the gate, standing in Seireitei, and there was a calm voice. The members of the 3rd Division raised Zanpakuto one by one and aimed at the marines. As for Chen Tian's words, the marines were also stunned. What does it mean to represent justice? Simultaneously, the present world in Chen Tian's mouth caught their attention. This world. He calls us the world. Why is this? Seireitei, what's the point? Why does everyone's knife seem to have the power of devil fruit? On the warship, not only the marine soldiers, even the lieutenants with considerable qualifications, are now frowning and wondering. The opponent's superior tone, with so many different knives, why do I suddenly feel that the opponent is a 4 emperors level existence? Looking at the Zanpakuto who are already behind Shikai in the 3rd team ahead, the pressure brought by Garp, who has always been careless, couldn't help but breathe, his eyes flashed with shock, and he murmured solemnly. Lieutenant General Doberman, didn't you just say that you want to fight that person? Okay, I'll let you. Huo Shaoshan stared at Chen Tian and found that his fighting intention was fading. The ghost spider also had an unprecedented anxiety in his heart, and said directly, yeah, Doubtman, you rush up and try it first, these people are too bad. Doberman, there were hundreds of people in the 3rd team. Everyone's knives are different, as if they have the power of devil fruit. This exaggerated amount, Doberman suspected that he could rush over by himself, and still get out of his body. Garp walked out of the windmill village step by step. His observation hockey already knew the performance of marine lieutenant generals. He shook his head, knowing that when this critical time came, he still had to rely on Garp. You have destroyed the system, laws and regulations enacted by the world government. This matter, the world government, marine headquarters, I hope you will give an explanation. Garp said resolutely. The lieutenants nodded again and again. At a critical time, they really wanted to take Garp. Explanation. With the unclosed gate, Chen Tian in Seireitei laughed when he heard this sentence. It seems that you still don't know where Seireitei is, otherwise, you wouldn't have such a naive idea. Where is Seireitei? This called Garp's eyes condensed. The marines stared at each other with big eyes, and they saw endless doubts in each other's eyes. Chapter 20. Advertise here. Chapter 19 Hitsugaya Tōshirō coming. What kind of place is Seireitei? To be honest, Garp has never known it, but he and other marine generals have similar ideas in some respects, that is, no matter what kind of place Seireitei is, it can never have a higher status and dominance than the world government. Right. But at this moment, listening to what the young man known as the Lord of Seireitei said in the Gate of the Piercing World, Garp couldn't help but frown. The same is true for other people. They couldn't help but secretly said, do they think Seireitei is too simple? Seireitei, far more esoteric than they originally thought. Then you tell me what kind of place Seireitei is. Garp couldn't help yelling at this moment. He fought Locks, arrested Roger himself, and doesn't he still know what kind of place Seireitei is? Hearing this, Chen Tian glanced at Garp indifferently, and said coldly, People in this world, I have no obligation to answer your questions. Remember, we are not opponents. You should not regard Seireitei as your enemy, otherwise you will be at your own risk. Rumble. As if in order to cater to Chen Tian's words, the members of the 3rd Division raised Zanpakuto one by one. At this moment, the Reiatsu on them became more powerful, and then the space was enveloped by the terrible Reiatsu, and even the sea was shaken by endless waves. It seems to overwhelm everything the same. The marine soldiers on the warship changed their faces one by one, holding the guns in their hands, pointing at the members of Gotei 13's 3rd Division, but they knew the guns, and they were afraid that they would be of no use to each other. Layers of cold sweat were left on their foreheads, and their palms were shaking. The generals such as Doberman and Huoshaoshan also had ugly faces. I thought that there were enough Marines here, but based on the current situation, Doberman and Huoshaoshan felt that the Marines who came here were too much. Less, although the opponent seems to have only a few hundred people, and Marine has a few thousand, but each of the opponent's knives seems to have the devil fruit ability. At least, 1 dozen is enough to give their Marine soldiers. Completely killed here. Lieutenant General Garp, we have to fight. As the saying goes, catch the thief first and catch the king, our goal is the young man behind that door. Rush up to us together. Although this will kill many Marines in vain, as long as we catch this boy, then it will be our victory. Quote. The words of these lieutenants made Garp frown. Passing through the boundary gate, Chen Tian also saw something. In the eyes of Doubtman and others, the other party had to sacrifice the Marine soldiers first, regardless of their life and death. And they are great, grab yourself first. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Chen Tian shook his head. I think the other party is too simple. And many more. Garp wanted to call Doberman and others. Do not make jokes. The opponent can defeat Hawkeye's existence. How can it be caught so easily? Lieutenant General Garp, we can add you. Doberman shouted, he believed in Garp's power. Garp was startled. If you add your own strength, you are sure of it. To be honest, Garp really has confidence in his own strength, even if he is against one of 5 elders, Garp does not think he will lose. On. Doberman gave an order. The Marines began to cover Doberman and other lieutenants, and one shot at the beginning, heading towards Gotei 13, the so-called 3rd Division. As for Lieutenant Doberman, who was waiting on the moonwalk, he immediately walked towards the gate. You guys. Garp snorted, and at this point, he naturally rushed up. Doberman waited. The speed was flying, Marine 6 styles. For Marine Lieutenant Generals, it was natural to cultivate to a certain level. Quickly, they approached the crossing gate. Doberman, Ghost Spider, Huoshaoshan, the 5 lieutenants who once killed the Demon Order, are now shooting swords one by one. One after another sword light, cut everything open, with an unmatched momentum, facing Chen Tian behind the gate. Their sword lights were superimposed on one another, and it was a terrible slash, which seemed to be able to split a mountain into 2. However, facing the terrible blow of the other party, Chen Tian's eyes did not change at all. Put. Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Ding. Start to put Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Close black lens bracket. When those slashes approached Chen Tian, a figure appeared in front of Chen Tian and walked out of the gate. He has obvious white hair and turquoise eyes. He is wearing a Death Tyrant costume and a green shoulder strap with a metal heraldry. Hey, I said you guys, have you asked my opinion if you want to catch the king of Seireitei? Doubtman and others didn't care about the shortness that suddenly appeared, because G was too small and too short last year. But the next moment, in their horrified gaze, the silver sudden dwarf boy pulled out his Zanpakuto. Sit in the frosty sky, Hyōrinmaru. Chapter 21. Advertise here. Chapter 20 Shoot him, Shinso. Some readers asked, who is the heroine? To be honest, I have not thought about it at the moment, but there will never be any girl offers. I promise on this point. You can also comment on which one of you like to be the heroine and let me see. Close black lens bracket. The chill is surging in the space. The slashes of the ghost spider, Doberman and others were frozen. This is impossible. Anyone with the ability to freeze, isn't it the master of Seireitei? What exactly is going on? Doubtman, Ghost Spider and others exclaimed in disbelief, looking at the scene ahead, they really didn't know what to say. Ding, congratulations on getting Doberman's 10,000 shock points. Close black lens bracket. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points for Ghost Spiders. Close black lens bracket. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points from Huoshaoshan. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Ghost Spiders and so on really don't understand. In their thinking, the ability to defeat Eagle Eye's freezing ability must be some kind of ability no less than Aokiji Admiral Devil Fruit. Such ability must be very rare. But what is going on now? Why does this short silver-haired boy possess such abilities? They really can't figure it out. Fight me, what are you thinking about? Hitsugaya Tōshirō steps out. As a genius, he is outstanding in all aspects. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the Ghost Spider and others. Read more at mtlarchive.com. So fast. Why does he have such a speed? My observation hockey, I can't feel his movements. Looking at Hitsugaya Tōshirō who suddenly came in front of him, the Ghost Spider and other lieutenants were shocked. Dare not hesitate. They raised the knives in their hands, covering armament hockey, and slashed them one by one. Who is this silver-haired kid? He seems to be the same age as my grandson, Luffy, but has such strength. Garp was already shocked and didn't know what to say. He thought that Hitsugaya Tōshirō was as young as his appearance. Now Garp has finally recovered. He looked at Chen Tian on the side of the gate. Garp knew that several lieutenants had been given by Hitsugaya Tōshirō. Hold on, then the only person who can defeat the Lord of Seireitei now is himself. Now, Garp moved. It was just a moment of time. Garp came to the gate of the crossing. That terrible fist carried the terrifying armament haki. The energy condensed in this fist surprised everyone. You know that there are definitely a lot of people who know armament haki in this world, and they are everywhere in New World, but armament haki such as Garp is really scary. Now Garp punches in the direction of the gate. It was blasted out. Facing Garp's fist, Chen Tian smiled slightly. Now he took out Zanpakuto Shinso. There is no doubt that the appearance of this Zanpakuto really doesn't look very powerful, and Garp is also wondering what kind of ability this knife has to resist his fist. Garp's current fist dented the head of Green Pepper, the leader of the 8 treasure marines. Take 7 warlords of the sea for the power above this fist, absolutely none of them can be easily afforded. Just when this fist was about to approach Chen Tian's voice rang. Shoot him, Shinso. No one knew what happened at this moment. Garp backed away suddenly. When everyone reacted and looked over, the bright red bloodline on Garp's fist was ticking down. This was Garp's own blood. The opening in his fist was very conspicuous. Garp is now looking at Zanpakuto in Chen Tian's hands, and there is also a storm in Garp's heart. In his shocked gaze, the short blade just now became very long. It was this one just now. It suddenly became too long, making Garp undefeated. If it hadn't been for the crisis consciousness that he had possessed over the years to remind himself, let hurry up and avoid it, otherwise Garp's fist would not be as simple as getting hurt. This knife will actually grow longer. Is it also a knife from devil fruit? Garp thinks Seireitei's people are really weird. Did the knife in their hand really eat devil fruit? Really so many devil fruit were eaten by them. And he felt that the ability of the opponent's weapon didn't seem to be like devil fruit, and Garp was very sure of this after he personally played against it. To be honest, Garp doesn't have the confidence now, he can defeat these people casually. If you want to tell the victory or defeat, you have to work hard, show the fierceness of the time against Locks, show the fearlessness of the capture of Roger, but is it worth it? Okay. Don't fight, retreat first. Garp looked at Dao Country again, and the situation on the Ghost Spider side found that several of them were actually suppressed by the little silver-haired dwarf. Garp's eyes stared even more. One must know that being able to become a lieutenant general is also very remarkable, but now, the 5 major lieutenants together are not the opponent of that little man. Does anyone believe this kind of thing? How so? When Garp was surprised, Chen Tian finally walked out and walked towards Garp. 60% of Shinso is now awakened. Already Bankai. Why should you experience Bankai too? Chapter 22. Advertise here. Bankai, the horror of Kamishini no Yari. Garp didn't expect things to turn into this way. Garp had the same opinion as the others at naval headquarters. They should be sure of their success this time. But now things have changed dramatically. Instead, the Marine is at a disadvantage. Garp clenched his fists. It's up to you to know whether you can reverse the situation. He hasn't taken any serious shots for many years. His strength has been completely suppressed by him. Can he awaken and bring it into full play? A Shinso who hasn't shot with a gun for many years. He occasionally plays with a gun, but can he still reach the level of his heyday? Of course. If so, Garp also feels that it doesn't matter if he is facing the 4 emperors. Unless the other party is above the 4 emperors. Now, the Zanpakuto in Chen Tian's hand suddenly stretched again. Suddenly changed. Same as before. Relying on observation haki and crisis awareness, Garp once again dodged the past dangerously. What? But behind Garp screamed again and again. A warship was pierced. The warship was silent. Many marine soldiers fell into the sea. Marine soldiers, of course, must be able to swim, but for those with fruit abilities, it's bad. Among the marine soldiers who arrived, there were naturally some capable people. What are you kidding? Garp found that the situation was getting worse and worse for him. It's hard for him not to care about those marine soldiers. He jumped onto a warship, reached out and caught the shell. It was a fist bone meteorite. Usually, he uses this hand to grab the cannonball, like throwing a baseball, and throw it towards the enemy ship. At this moment, the same is true. The shells he threw out were amazingly powerful, and the airflow generated by the explosion could spread dozens of miles away. However, read more at mtlarchive.com. Chen Tian's Zanpakuto moved again. The stretched Zanpakuto directly penetrated the cannonball. Suddenly grow longer. It's not just getting longer. The power has also increased, and the surrounding air seems to have been pierced, making a terrifying sound of breaking through the air. Ding, congratulations on getting Garp 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points from Marine Soldier Azuo. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points from Alahe. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Boy, you are really good, but the old man's methods are not that simple. Garp stretched out his hand now. Suddenly, something came out of nothing. A shell as big as a marine warship was thrown. Go to Chen Tian. Shoot him, Kamishini no Yari. Kamishini no Yari. The extension limit is 13 kilometers, and the telescopic speed is 500 times the speed of sound. Suddenly, Garp saw an incredible scene. The knife in Chen Tian's hand seemed to turn into a white light, coming directly to him. The white light is too fast. Across the space. Click. The space is divided into two. Across the sea. Click. The sea was also completely split. Extremely sharp. There seems to be nothing to stop it. Garp jumped up. If it weren't for years of crisis awareness, he really would have reacted at all, but he couldn't. Kamishini no Yari. Too fast. The fast space is disconnected. Kill Shinso, tear the air through the sky at a desperate speed and leave. Horror. In Garp's heart, there was a sudden horror, and the hairs began to burst. Garp was excited. He met his opponent and had a fight. But his body was shaking. This feeling only surfaced a little when facing Locks alone. And today, a touch of bright red, the ground fell to the ground. How could it be? I obviously avoided. Holding his chest from which a cut had been made, Garp's eyes widened. Armament hockey covered his whole body just now, but it was useless. Just now he avoided, but he was still injured. It's the speed of sound. Garp's brain is not good, but when fighting, his brain is very clear. Knowing that it was because the other party broke the speed of sound, so. At this moment, Chen Tian suddenly put the Shinso blade forward and perpendicular to his chest. Do you know what a non-tread edge is? Chapter 23. Advertise here. One of Marine's failures. Flowers broke 3,000, 8 changes today. No stepping on the edge. What exactly is this? Too fast. This is a large-scale kill. For a time, the space roared and the air vibrated. Under Kamishini no Yari, Garp stared at the scene before him in amazement. Hitsugaya Tōshirō has already made the Ghost Spider and the Lieutenant General, without any prestige. Now, Kamishini no Yari out. Doberman was pierced. Next moment, the Ghost Spider was pierced. Next moment, Huo Shaoshan was pierced. Next moment, Stallo Berry was pierced. Next moment, the mole was pierced. Garp wanted to save people, but found that he couldn't do it at all. Everything is too fast. What is going on with the weapons in your hands? When looking at Chen Tian again, in Garp's eyes, it was unprecedentedly solemn. The opponent's weapon is too terrifying. Before coming, Garp also estimated it, but unexpectedly, he still underestimated it. Such a weapon can be used to kill 4 emperors. What kind of weapon is this? Why do weapons have such capabilities? Directly unheard of. Garp is not a swordsman. Read more at mtlarchive.com. But for knives, they are still very familiar. Above the sea, there are so-called 83 knives, 12 knives of the supreme knives, 21 knives of the great knives, and 50 knives of the good knives. And the opponent's knife is a knife that is not among the big knives, not even among the good knives. No, it's not just this person. The other Seireitei people are also capable of knives. This is impossible. This is not your sword of the sea, this is Zanpakuto. Chen Tian spoke lightly and gave Garp a hint. As Seireitei, the master of positive forces. Of course he will not be a monster of random killing. He already taught naval headquarters a lesson. Zanpakuto. Not the knife on the sea. Garp is now repeating Chen Tian's words in astonishment. What Seireitei? What Gotei 13? What the Jufan team? What a third team? What Zanpakuto? Regarding these words, Garp said that he really didn't even listen to them. It stands to reason that such a strong man, such a knife, cannot be unknown. Why have never heard of it before? Garp now seems to have a brain and is starting to think about these issues. Chen Tian smiled slightly, leaving the answer to the mystery, and guess it by yourself. It's not yet time to reveal the answer. Chen Tian turned around and walked towards the crossing gate. Do not go. Garp really wants to know what Seireitei is. Now facing Chen Tian's back, he rushed directly up. Hey, what are you going to do? Now Hitsugaya Tōshirō blocked Garp's path. Garp punches. Zanpakuto of Hitsugaya Tōshirō slashed at the same time. Boom. What? Garp's eyes widened. He was careless. Immediately, Garp was wrapped in ice and fell directly into the sea. Garp in the ice, the boss with wide-eyed eyes, full of disbelief. He is sure of one thing now, this silver-haired boy, his power is not under Aokiji, even. What's the joke? What is this Seireitei? A master of Seireitei is so powerful, it's the past. Even this dwarf is so good. Remember, I am the captain of the juvenile division, Hitsugaya. This is the last word Garp heard. Garp was shocked again and again. The captain of the 10th division has such strength. What about the other captains? This Gotei 13, won't every one of them be so powerful? Isn't this? The members of the squad also entered the crossing gate. The crossing gate disappeared. No, save Lieutenant General Garp and the other lieutenants. At this moment, the marine soldiers woke up like a dream, their eyes widened and exclaimed. Chapter 24. Advertise here. Ah, Lieutenant General Garp. There's still burning Yamanaka. The scene fell into a dead silence, and the marines who quickly reacted suddenly broke out with shocking shouts. Those lieutenants all fell to the bottom of the sea. No matter what, it must be saved, right? The marine soldiers without devil fruit dived into the sea one after another. I didn't expect that this time I would be so embarrassed. If this kind of thing spreads out, I am afraid that no one will believe it, right? The sea is deadly cold. Although Hitsugaya Tōshirō had already left, the chill left by Hyōrinmaru just now made the marine soldiers who had plunged into the sea tremble and numb. Burning Yamamoto will be found by me, but I don't seem to be breathing. I found Lieutenant General Doberman's upper body. Where is the lower body? Where is it? Lieutenant General Ghost Spider, it seems that several hands have been chopped off by the longer knife, and one hand seems to have fallen in that place. Go and find it. Quote. Where is Lieutenant General Garp? At this time, Marine soldiers reacted. Why hasn't anyone found Lieutenant General Garp? For Marine soldiers, Garp is very close to them. Although he is the strongest in naval headquarters, although his position is not low. But Garp is very good to Marine soldiers. In a word, grounded. Cough. At this moment, a figure drilled out of the sea, gritted his teeth, coughed, and tried his best to climb onto a warship. Not Garp, who else? Lieutenant General Garp, are you okay? Many Marine soldiers immediately stepped forward, and when they saw Garp's tragic situation, they felt that their words were completely nonsense. Is it okay to look like this? The ice on one of Garp's feet hasn't been scratched yet. Garp, although he usually likes to pick booger, he still looks decently. In general, his personal image is actually majestic. But what is going on now? Marine's coat completely turned into a beggar costume. Garp was even more embarrassed. The blood on one of his palms was still flowing. The next moment, Garp snapped his whole body and fell to the ground. No one has seen Garp like this. Lieutenant General Garp. Many Marine soldiers cried. The Major General immediately ordered. Quick, take Lieutenant General Garp to the nearest Logue town, notify Smoker to notify Naval Headquarters, and dispatch the best medical team. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The Marine soldiers nodded repeatedly. Lieutenant General. You must hold on to it. Several colonels wailed, raised Garp, and launched the warship towards Logue town. They also gathered beside Garp, crying. Garp is very irritable. He is just badly injured and loses too much physical strength. If you want to sleep, you yell a fart. But Garp found that he couldn't even speak. This is Logue town. Smoker thought that Naval Headquarters dispatched Lieutenant General Garp. Everything should be resolved. But why didn't he expect Garp to be hurt like this? At this moment, in the special ward of Logue town, Garp was wrapped in bandages, staring at the ceiling blankly. Smoker bought a lot of senbei. Garp, which I usually love senbei, is not in the mood to eat a bite. I don't need to pick my favorite booger action. The Marine myth that once chased Roger and ran away all over the world actually failed today. I was actually in front of a group of Marine soldiers who admired me, embarrassed like this. How strong is this Seireitei? Is it equivalent to the Rock's Pirate of the Year? After thinking for a while, Garp found that he had a headache. My own head doesn't seem to be suitable for thinking about something too esoteric. Smoker, Dasky is standing by the hospital bed now. Garp's injury and recovery are very important to Marine. Smoker even felt that he should temporarily put down his job and stay by Garp's bed to take care of him. Dasichi, always thinking that she would meet Garp one day. As a Marine hero, how many people want to see Garp? But I didn't expect to see Garp like this. At this moment, Garp finally came back to his senses. Wrapped in bandages, he looked at Smoker, with a rare tone of seriousness, and said, Report, Huo Shaoshan and other lieutenant generals. This one. When Smoker first started, he really didn't know what to say. But he still solemnly reported. Burning General Yamanaka, Lieutenant General Doberman, Lieutenant General Ghost Spider and so on, they have already. Seeing Smoker's face, no matter how stupid Garp was, he already knew what was going on. Garp was wrapped in bandages, trying to clench his fists, but found that his body was weak at the moment, and his fists could not be clenched. Naval Headquarters, when dealing with the Four Emperors pirate group, did not have such a large casualty at one time. This time, there is no doubt that it is Marine's shame. Seireitei, what kind of place is it? Garp knew his brain wasn't working well. But at this moment, because of anger or other emotions, Garp had to meditate on his own. Zanpakuto. There is no doubt that this is not the system on the ocean today. In addition, the people of Seireitei call the people of this world the world. Could it be? Suddenly, Garp had some guesses about Seireitei in his mind. Chapter 25. Advertise here. Chapter 24. All Marines are taken into the ditch by Garp. This world. There are many explanations. Garp now thinks of the world now. Isn't Seireitei a product of the current world? Think of it this way. Garp thinks it's quite possible. Seireitei, everyone has Zanpakuto, which is different from the power in the ocean today. Garp connects the two together and feels like he has discovered Seireitei's secret. Seireitei, it should be an ancient force. Correct. Only this explanation can explain why Seireitei is so strange, and their power is incompatible with today's world. So, why does Seireitei not conform to the order promulgated by the Goa kingdom and even the world government? Garp couldn't help thinking of the title Seireitei, the title of Gotei 13, and the architectural style of Seireitei in the gate through the world. This is a kingdom at all. Could it be that? Garp thinks that his unusable head is actually serious and possesses wisdom that no one else can match. The origin of Seireitei. He finally understood. After all, Garp looked at Smoker and said, Did you report to Naval Headquarters? Smoker immediately said, I wanted to report it back to Naval Headquarters as soon as possible, but the phone bugs that Naval Headquarters carried were all sickened by cold. Garp nodded. Zanpakuto of Hitsugaya Tōshirō, the chill that exudes is really amazing. What about the phone worm in Lobe Town? Smoker nodded, took out the phone worm he had brought with him, and said, Lieutenant General Garp, this matter is too serious. I really am. Garp nodded, expressing understanding. This time the incident is indeed a major event. Naval Headquarters, while losing 5 Admiral. My own marine hero also lost. Even if you encounter Beast's pirates, it is impossible for the battle to be so miserable. Let me come. Garp took a deep breath. As a marine hero, he has the courage to face failure. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Smoker nodded. This is Naval Headquarters. In the Marshal's office. Sengoku is still thinking about how to deal with 4 emperors. He has been thinking about this question for a long time. In the era of the great pirates, this can't go on forever. As Marshal Marine, he must change the situation of the sea. But how to solve this problem? Today's Sengoku can't think of it. As for Seireitei, Sengoku didn't think about it anymore. Before he wanted to come, Garp went, then it should be solved. I only need to wait for Garp's Gotei 13 to escort Seireitei in the Naval Headquarters. Brew. Soon, the phone worm rang. Sengoku answered. It's me, over there, Garp's voice came. Buddha Sengoku smiled and said, why do you want to contact me suddenly? Come back and talk about something. In Lieutenant General Marine, apart from Crane, there is only Garp, who will let Sengoku of Buddha talk like a friend. Sengoku, about this Seireitei. Garp gritted his teeth with a heavy tone. He has the courage to face failure, but he really doesn't know what to say at this moment. Seireitei, what's wrong? Listening to Garp, Sengoku felt a little strange, but he didn't feel too panicked. For the strength of Garp, Sengoku of Buddha absolutely believes. This guy, get serious, is much more reliable than Admiral. The opponents who had headaches at the time were not defeated by Marine's Admiral, but by Garp. This guy took action against Seireitei. Sengoku put 120 hearts. Look at the phone bug, there is no reply for a long time. Sengoku of the Buddha frowned slightly. Isn't the so-called Gotei 13 not all captured? It doesn't matter, as long as you capture the main character, it's fine. No, I didn't catch any of them. Sengoku. He wondered if he had heard it wrong. Didn't catch any of them. How is this kind of thing possible? Sengoku of Buddha took a deep breath and said, Garp, do you think they didn't do anything to some poor people? They only targeted the nobles, so you didn't take action. On the phone bug's side, Garp did not reply, and Sengoku called the Buddha felt that the situation was not right, so what about Doberman and others? They didn't even catch the leader of Seireitei. How many members of Gotei 13 should catch? Dubman and them. The Buddha Sengoku had a bad idea. But I think this is impossible. Garp is by the side, even if he doesn't do anything, he can't just sit back and watch Doberman and others have an accident, right? They have sacrificed. When hearing this sentence, Sengoku of Buddha's pupils widened. The whole person has been stunned there. At this moment, the face of Sengoku, the Buddha, showed a rare look of astonishment. Doberman and other lieutenants are not ordinary lieutenants. They have participated in the killing of demons, which shows their strength. Right now, Sengoku of Buddha can't believe this is true. Sengoku, why don't you speak? You won't have an accident, will you? Seeing that Sengoku didn't speak anymore, Garp over there was also worried about Sengoku, afraid that he could not stand the blow. Garp quickly said, although we lost this time, I figured out the details of Seireitei and their origins.